Roll call? Oh, yeah, roll call, sorry. Councilperson Smith?
Present.
Councilperson Wadsworth?
Present.
Councilperson Sellers?
Present.
Councilperson Webb?
Present.
Council President Gill?
Present.
Councilperson Julius?
Here.
Councilperson Owen? Councilperson Samuel?
Here.
Let the record reflect 8 council members present.
Okay, before we get started, Larry, we are kind of doing what we did last year. You fall back on your working budget for 2006, will be your 2015 budget.
Okay.
Performance pool and any capital over 5,000 is pulled under council like it was last year. And new employees are after circuit breakers.
Okay.
And then the performance pool will be released after circuit, just like it was last year.
Okay.
I did have a question from last week's, or a couple days ago, meeting. We talked about, or the question that I asked was, on the performance pool, were the department heads included in that? And the answer was yes.
Right.
Did we decide to pull that out?
We have
And
to
make it just,
Well, we told Scott to check the ordinance.
shouldn't we have an intent?
Mm-hmm. The intent, I'd say,
Is for hourly employees, not,
But wouldn't we want to at least put that dollar amount and set it
Separate it.
aside? It
Would
would
be
be separated, but
separated.
it would be set aside in the council's budget in case.
the only thing that you don't want to do, you want to make, in my opinion, you want to make clear intent what we want to do. Because if the employees portion of it, the hourly employees, would say 8,000, and you put 10,000 in there, and you paid all the hourly employees, and, you didn't calculate it just on your hourly employees, the leftover.
and that's
couldn't
what
go-
happened this
I
year.
know. So what I'm saying is, if that's our intent, we need to calculate the amount of money for the hourly employees that they have, and escrow that amount of money, be it pulled over into the council's budget, or however it is, but that needs to be the set amount of money earmarked for that department, so that there's not excess that would go to an unintended.
It wouldn't be over and under. Well, I guess my question on that would be, on this performance pool, did you all figure 3%? What number, when you came up with this dollar amount, how did you do that? You just figured 3%? And you just multiplied it times the number of employees?
No, it's on the wage amount for each department.
Okay.
But something else you need to think about is just because there's that amount in there, those employees might not get 3%. And that happened last year because the departments had, some of them were not pleased, maybe the people were not doing what they were supposed to do, so they didn't get the full 3%.
Sure.
So, I mean, you could always have something left over.
I understand, but
What we need to do is make the ordinance clear and say the department heads is in a separate budget. Because really that should be done by the mayor. They should not be giving themselves.
Amy, do you do that? If you got like 8 hourly people and 1 department head, you consider 9 times the 3%? Or how did you do that?
The gross wage of all salaries.
Including the department head?
Because one is people
So we
that-
probably need to put the dollars there, but separate the two.
They work
it's worth
just
it
as hard.
to get to that number.
They would get that.
That's the
I would,
number
let me
we're
comment on that. I've always felt like the department heads,
working. If you're just
they work like everybody else works.
over to the council's
And
budget.
we ought, if we're putting
I
money into, for increases, we ought to include them the same.
That's what we just said, but it needs to be in a separate fund because the mayor's the one who gives them their pay increases. They don't give themselves a pay increase. That would not be.
He does the performance
We
on
just
each
have to
one.
be
and-
there. We just
Yeah, but it
separate the
doesn't-
dollars, but it's all
but-
over the same thing.
But, yeah, okay, but I guess what I'm thinking, when it's calculated for whatever department, whoever works in that department ought to be based, if we say 3% whatever it is, the money, just say nobody can get their performance increase until a performance review is turned in. And then when the mayor goes to do his department heads, they don't get a raise until that review's turned in. And that's how it should be.
Well, it's been done that way.
That's how it works.
Then why do we have to change it? It doesn't matter, but I thought, anyway. I just think it may be an extra step.
Well, she figured
Yeah, you knew
3%
that wouldn't
in
hold
there,
up.
and they had money left over. There are some department heads that got a 4 and a 5% raise. Yeah.
That's what we're saying.
Well, the way I understood it, you could get as much as 7%.
But who's saying they get the
But they didn't figure 7%,
Yeah,
they
they
figured 3%.
Well, if I'd have known people could get 7%, I was told 3%, I'd be giving some of my staff 7%. We were told 3%, nobody said anything about 7.
Isn't there a pool for each department, and that money is divided amongst the employees based on the,
Yeah, they could get more
Valuations.
than 3%.
right?
That was always my understanding. Some
Somebody might get 1, somebody might get 5.
Right.
But the
Based
dollar
on their
based
performance.
Doesn't change.
three.
Those guidelines that you all made up were.
We can't remember what those are. That's why we're asking.
That was a year ago, hon.
It sounds
Or
like
longer.
what
It was longer than a year ago.
Existence.
3 or 4 years ago.
Y'all
The
need-
guidelines that were gone through by HR and finance department was made up, I guess, in June or, no, May or so of this year. And all of the departments and the mayor did all the department heads and all of the reviews were done and everything, and it had to be within that group of money that you
Right.
all gave to them
But
as
there's a
that
span in that. That's what we're
transfer.
trying to figure out what the span
I
is.
think of the,
It was 3% across
Yes.
the whole of
Right.
the department. So if you had one person in that department, like IT doesn't have a whole lot of people, so, or two
I don't think that's
people.
what our ordinance says, though.
There wasn't an ordinance, it was guidelines that you all set up. There was like 10 specific guidelines.
I think there's something in the salary ordinance, when we went through this with Liz, because
We
we
just
talked,
need
we
to-
talked
we need to
about
get a
this.
copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more than
Unfortunately,
7%,
Scott's out of
$5,000 or something like that.
that's in the
Right.
salary ordinance, and I think what that is a statement. If I'm not mistaken, doesn't it state the mayor can give up to,
I think so, in that wage administration.
yes, it says the mayor
Yeah.
can give up to.
But I'm not aware of any department heads that got more than 3%.
Other than who was given raises by us that we approved.
I wouldn't call them raises. They
Well,
asked for-
increases,
Yeah.
increases.
Right, the 2
In-
or 3.
There were
that
2
came
people
to
that got
the
increases because they asked, yeah.
Got up to the midpoint, yes.
But outside of that, none of the department heads got more than their 3%, did they?
No.
So I was told otherwise, so
Anyway,
I guess some department heads aren't truthful.
We don't have it here in front of us.
Yeah. Okay, let's get on we'll have to pull those ordinances.
Page 5.
Please, you want me to pay, you want me to call them tomorrow?
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
You did?
Exactly what they're looking at, so they're looking at page 5.
Okay,
Imagine.
I did.
After the tab, page 5.
Larry, I said, if you want to go home, you just might as well speak up and go, keep going, because they're going to jibber jabber.
Yeah, no, I'm all right.
You got to take charge.
Page,
First, on that first, who's the administrative assistant and we're just gonna go line by line, Larry.
okay, okay. Administrative assistants staying the same, 34,300.
Is that,
That,
is that Mary, is that?
no, it's not Mary, and that was a
No,
question
it
I,
looks to me like they're going down 5,800,
Yeah,
going
so
down
why-
to from
what's up with that?
34,300 to 28,500.
I was gonna ask them tomorrow, but wasn't sure, I know which one Mary's is, but I'm not sure if it's either Amy or Teresa.
Help him out, Amy.
I think it was budgeted incorrectly and it's corrected for next year.
And that's what I was gonna ask you, 'cause
Oh, okay.
I think that's working off of Susan's old budget.
Yes.
So that would be Teresa.
Didn't get paid the wrong amount all year, did they? Oh, okay.
No,
Okay,
I think it's Teresa's, yes.
all right.
So that particular employee's 28,500, is that
I think
correct?
that was probably what Susan was making.
No.
No,
The 34.
no.
Laura was making. Oh, okay.
What on Susan?
Susan was making the Not the 39.
No, I think that's Mary's.
It is
Well,
now.
Susan at
It was
first.
Susan first, yeah, before.
And then administrative assistant 2 is Mary.
Mhm.
And hers is 30
I think it's budgeted more correctly
in the green book.
in the 39,250
Okay.
currently.
You know, my sheet shows a little bit more. Mine shows 39, 6, 54, 51.
Check on those ones.
Okay. And chief clerk is Amy, and 31,738 is what I've got. You know,
No,
This
it's
is-
29,720.
29,720.
You looking at the column on the right?
maybe my column is with all the benefits and everything. Would that be?
Oh,
No.
Wouldn't
Is
be?
your column
He's
what
got these
they're
two added
actually
together.
making after they receive their 3% increase
Three,
possible?
It, yes, for 2016 budget it
Got
would
that
be.
chief clerk position?
Yes.
Didn't one of them you said we didn't have, Connie?
It
And then-
wasn't the
Oh,
Oh, wait. There was one that Kim
But not for
said
county.
we needed to change because there was not a chief clerk, because it goes over here on, she is not the chief clerk.
yeah,
She
Kim,
is back here, she's the building permits clerk. Remember, we said we were
Yeah,
gonna change that.
Change it to building, okay.
Which one went to building?
You're talking
The
about
chief clerk.
Amy?
The one for the, 'cause we don't have a chief clerk in our salary ordinance.
Okay.
She is the building permits clerk.
So my sheet's showing the 3% raise evidently.
yeah,
Which is 2,000.
Kim said we
Do all
needed
of
to
the
change that.
pay with the increases and everything and put it to what it should be, not what's necessarily budgeted and carry that forward.
okay,
So I think, I'm pretty confident that these are what they're actually getting paid.
okay.
But I will go back and double check that,
Okay. So I should be looking at,
the requested.
okay.
Okay, so where are we at here?
But I will definitely.
We're on, you got code enforcement, because it's not under him, so.
No, it's not under, we don't have that.
And the secretary, I guess, the part ain't under you, or something.
Then,
Got-
No, that's been gone for a while.
We moved down to the building commissioner director.
Mine, I'll start leaving off here. Start with mine, building commission. And I've asked for to be moved up to midpoint of the pay, of the grade pay 6, which is $5,210 more a year.
In 14, we had 62. Was that Russ?
Yes, and he had
Yeah.
tons of education.
Oh, I understand
tons
that.
of
I'm just,
certificates.
and then 53 is what we moved you over to, Larry?
Yes. Yes.
What did you make before you took over?
Does that,
47, I think. I
Important?
think it was around
It's
47.
important to me because I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's about same as Harold Electrical, 47,972.
Okay.
And the reason I'm asking for the increase also is when we get down to the maintenance man.
That's on 256, it's number 256,
Yeah.
411-256.
And then,
But we'll address his increase request after circuit breakers. But for now, but come January, you're going to stay at the 53,790 until after circuit breakers. We'll address that.
Harold, the electrical inspector, he's gonna stay the same. I've got him at 47,972.
Are you looking at the 2016 budget?
I'm still,
yeah, I don't know why these are all,
these are all off.
Where's that green book?
Well,
Steve, let me show you. This is what they've got in here for you all. Look at here. But this is what, see what I'm saying?
electrical.
Yeah.
I think that was with 3% raise, I think. Is that what the red is?
Must be.
Bond.
No, it's a
And then-
13.
No, the right, we don't
And then
have
what they
right.
did, on my sheet that they sent me,
Somebody does.
Can I ask, either he doesn't have the right ones or we don't have the right ones,
Here's a quick question here. Okay,
as long as it's
because
important.
what he has in here, and it's probably the thing, on his 2015 budget, what he has in here, like for the electric inspector, the 47,972, is with the 3% raise. Then you see the 46,650.
Why
that's-
wouldn't he have the same book we've got?
Because he's got the list that he turned in. That's what, he turned in what, because I'm looking at it, because his was like mine. What's in these columns here, they don't reflect the 3% raise, do they?
No, because it's all budgeted in the performance line, not in.
No, from July of last year.
Heather said she would.
No, I went through each one of these accounts and I saw who got paid there, what their pay is as of today, times it by 2080, if that's
Well,
like
how
if they
did
work 40-hour week or what it should be, current pay, not looking at any of the appropriations or any of that kind of stuff. What do they get paid today? How much are they supposed to have?
This includes the
It
raise.
includes the raise of what they get paid today.
Right.
I guess what my question is,
The
then,
only difference on the request
Where's the
here
budgets?
was because I know he was asking for the
I
59,000
think with this,
and then the new employee. But everything else, everybody.
I think with this and this added together is this,
2016 is what
without
they
adding it up.
actually get
Okay.
now.
reason I wanted,
Different than what was budgeted, but I did that with all the departments. So if you see that on
Okay.
any of the other departments.
so this is it, so you need to go by this.
go by that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then the building inspector, he's at 45,400.
Can I back up a minute, just to have her explain that to me again, under,
We're off to a good start.
These are, the 2016 requested budget are the salaries that they are making now, and which includes the raise.
okay, what's the 2015 budget? Is that what it says here?
No, he said it's
No,
on
that's
the,
what, it shows here
on
what
that
the
different
2015 amended budget
department, I
was, is
think.
what you all amended, what you all approved.
Mm-hmm.
And then what the 2016 budget has on here
But we
is-
don't include the 3%, Vicki. How can you include the 3% on every employee and then turn around and have a performance pool of money?
It was
No.
this year's
No,
3% that they already,
Well,
This
I'm-
is
Not
the
everybody got
3% that we
3%,
gave
but
them this year. It's already the.
Okay, what
it's already
line
their
item are you
increase.
talking about?
2016 requested budget. This
include,
is what they are making now without the salary increase for next year.
right.
So he's making 59,000.
No,
That's
he
what she
he
said.
just said
That's the
no.
exception.
That's the exception. He's requesting that.
But, okay,
He
let,
paid
drop,
53,790.
drop down to electrical, the one below that one.
Right.
okay.
Last year, or no, this year, they're being paid 47,972. Next
They
year,
budgeted
they were
that.
budgeted
That doesn't mean they're being paid that.
Correct.
okay,
I don't know why they were budgeted that, though.
I don't understand.
that's what I don't understand.
Some of the
Why were they-
budgeting issues are because when the performance increase pool came in and the timing of the whole thing and making sure that everybody had the correct appropriation in their lines, they still only got what they were, if they were due to get the 3% or 1% or whatever it was, department, their current pay matches that, but their appropriation may be off a little bit.
The appropriation may have been more to ensure that there was enough in the
There was the
budget
3%.
Yes.
Right,
to give,
Yes.
but that's not necessarily what they made in
Correct.
this fiscal year.
Why, I'm interested in what they made.
Well, that's the 2016 requested budget.
Yes.
That's not for 15.
With the exception of,
Yes,
Yes,
that is
it
the
is.
current pay for 15.
How can that be? That means he's making $59,000.
That's the exception.
That's the
That's
exception.
There's
You would not
two
know what that
exceptions
number
in
is.
building
No. It would
commissions.
be an
One, he's asking
Yes.
for more at the 59,000, and the other one was he wants.
What's his salary this year?
53,790.
Excuse me, what's his
24
salary?
activity, here's what he,
2015.
53,790.
Okay, is that accurate?
62.
I've got that. Okay, so that's accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. electrical inspector, what's his salary accurate?
46,650.
Okay, why is it, okay,
Well, the budget of 47,900.
But that's not.
But you
his
come over
salary
here
is
to the
over
difference.
2016.
Right.
Yeah.
More was budgeted, but more was not necessarily
Right.
paid
Oh,
out.
we got negative red there, right?
Right,
13.
right,
I got you.
right.
It is kind of hard to keep up with.
But the thing that I don't understand about that is when we did the way we did it, we had performance pool, a whole big chunk for every department. We didn't spread it along every one of those. And evidently in this case, they were given the budget amount increased for that person because it should have been in that performance pool.
right.
And in this case, and I don't know about other cases, but it was not.
If you look at the line for performance increase pool, if everything worked out great and every dollar went to every dollar it needed to go to, that number would not be, that would be zero on the 2015 amended budget. See how there's $1,199 in that performance increase pool for 2015? That means that I moved more from the council's budget to the building commission's budget, and they didn't need that much money, so I didn't particularly move that out to the other individual lines.
It's just reverting.
So Heather, are you saying that after we approved to go ahead and move the performance pool back to their budget,
Right.
you then,
We
based
figured
on
out
whatever they
how
said they were
much
supposed to
got
get, you
paid.
put it in there?
I put it into their individual line, and then I could have miscalculated, or, because it looks like here that some of them got more than what they probably needed, or any of that kind of stuff. It was a lot of stuff going on at that time, and I made mistakes. So
Well, and trying to do all the back pay is confusing.
We're not blaming it.
It's all, I know that I went through each individual line with each individual person, figured out what their hourly pay was, if they made 37 and a half hours a week, or if they made 40 hours a week, times it all out, figured out what their gross should be for the whole year of 2016 with no increases whatsoever from what they're making today. That's the number that I put in there for the 2016 requested budget. Other than the two exceptions for this, which was 59 and the new employees.
So Larry, I'm going to ask this, what new certifications or something have you got that you're requesting the 59,000
Well,
as opposed to last year?
I'm requesting, because the building itself, I've done a whole lot more to this building than
But that's your,
I could even-
but that's in your
that wasn't
job
being done.
So,
You're right. If we get this new maintenance man, he's going to fall under me. It'd be another employee. I have to get him set up. I have to work with him.
but you would have to do that with any employee. I mean, that's kind of your job as a department, correct?
Well, yeah, but not another, if we
Yeah.
get another new employee.
You
I
think
mean-
getting another employee would help.
Well, most people come and get new employees don't ask for a pay increase because they have another employee. But,
Well, to get a new employee, to get him set up and work with him every day for quite a while, it's going to take a little work.
Well, the idea was, though, Larry, and I'm not going either way, but I sat on the commission, and the idea was to alleviate some of your,
Yes.
not responsibility, but that you wouldn't have to work on this. This guy would be able to come in not only for this building, but
And to be able to do maintenance that we wouldn't have to hire out and save the city money.
right.
That's another big issue we're looking at, that he'll save the city a lot of money.
so, but my point was that he would be able to, maybe it would take 6 months, but he could start taking some of that load off your plate.
Yes. As far as this building here goes, yes. Mhm.
Well, I mean, hopefully he learns some of the other buildings and we're not talking about him doing inspections or anything else. We're talking about him doing
Maintenance.
service work. You know, when you need thermostats changed or whatever. This is something that we might be able to do in-house. I don't,
'Cause this building alone, just changing light bulbs, sometimes gets to be a monumental task.
but what I wanted to say is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but when we brought the idea forth to talk about hiring a maintenance person, we did not talk about, increasing your pay because we were bringing a maintenance man on. That was never discussed. I don't want to throw you under the bus.
No,
or
no,
anything, but
well,
that was the
I
discussion.
wouldn't bring it, I wouldn't have brought it up.
Yeah. So, food for thought. But what I say is we're tabling all the raises until circuit breakers. So that wouldn't be any different.
All raises, all new employees.
Well, yeah, and if
all
he's
capital
asking
expenses.
for a pay increase, he's gonna have to do just like Shane and Paul did, go to finance, and then we'll
Exactly.
cash all that out there, and then, so.
Isn't everybody getting a 3% on the average anyway, increase? That's what that did.
Well,
That's what been the
That's
average.
not the way it's supposed to
Not
work.
now, but I mean, that's the way it was in the past.
Potentially.
And I did get,
Averages out.
and I did get 3%.
So we want to move the 520938 to the council's budget for later consideration.
Yes.
Well, not the 50, whatever the difference is. from what he-
5209.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about for the,
So we're moving it to the council, or are we?
Yes.
letting it go?
We're moving it to the council, right?
Got it.
Next item.
Well, that's only 58.
the
Whatever.
difference, yeah.
There's a difference, it's not the 59, so.
No, the 520938.
520938.
The maintenance tech that you want to hire, your 52,000, that wouldn't come out of the general fund, that would come out of the building's maintenance, right?
Well, there's two ways to do it. If you're just gonna have him work on this building, then yes. But if you're gonna have him work on other buildings, then do we bill by the hour and parts? How do we do that?
Well, then what you would do is if 70% of his work was in here and 30% was there, you'd split the cost between here and the general fund. I mean, that's how a lot of the other employees are paid.
Or you're gonna bill it by department, pay it back?
See,
Same difference.
I thought maybe too, some of the pay could come out of the building authority money, like, we'd kind of.
But the building authority's for this building.
Just for, just when he was here.
That's what I'm saying. It's when he's off-site that we would have to determine if we were gonna bill something totally
Now,
separate.
that would be a,
I think it would too,
that
Connie.
would be a nightmare.
So if you're gonna take it out of the general fund, or,
I'm thinking about these ladies, I'm thinking about the people who would have to keep track of those hours, that would be.
I
a
am too,
nightmare.
I'm just saying I don't think we need to bill it all out of, that's not the intent. To,
Are there other employees budgeted
I
out
thought
of the
maybe
building
take it
authority?
out of, break it in thirds, third to the firehouses, third to the police, third to here.
I'm sorry, Larry.
A third, third to here, third to the firehouse, third to the police department, fire departments.
Well, that's if
That's
they
a
didn't.
nightmare. I mean,
That's if they needed him a third of the time,
That's still have the same pot of money though, the general fund.
it's-
yeah.
it eventually comes out of the building, or out of the general fund anyway.
The idea there is to save a labor rate. I think it would. Man, we
Well, I
hire,
don't have a
we
problem
hire
with it,
everything
it's
out.
just how we pay it.
Yeah, I understand.
I don't want to make it more complicated than.
I don't either.
And I don't know how exactly it works, but I think the firehouses, you got 5 firehouses, you got 5 different people controlling them, they're probably calling 5 different companies. That gets expensive.
Well, and there's still gonna be some stuff we know that we're not gonna be able to
Oh, yeah.
get to it all.
Like if you had one contract for Alpha like I got here, they could service all of them.
Can we kind of
Firehouses.
get back on track? Because we'll discuss that new employee when,
Okay.
Was that, the pay rate established by Liz and the job description? Was the job description done and a pay rate set by Liz on that, or?
It was.
did we just do that internal?
It was. Kim did it. That lady did it up there. I can't remember her name, but
So do
we worked on that for probably 3 months.
So are we moving that to the council?
yeah, because
Hire after.
that'll be a needed,
Or we
it'll
can,
save the city money, so we definitely want to move that under council so we can,
so we want to wait for him to hire that after circuit breakers, so we're going to hire that in January?
I think what you should do is in January, go to the finance committee
I agree.
to hire that person,
Okay.
instead of waiting until circuit breakers.
I agree.
Because that's a needed employee that'll
think
save us
we
from
want it in the
January on.
Are we
It-
gonna
we-
do, you know how we talked about the budget? Are we gonna take like the printing and everything back to the 2015 budget, or what? Because I thought that's what we would do.
Thought it was
Take
too.
everything back.
Bar and office and
So, yeah, we're taking everything back to,
Well, that's gonna make this easy, what, just take everything back?
Clarification, we're not cutting that person, we're moving the 52,000 to the council budget. I'm just asking the question for them.
Are we going,
Yourself, and
next
I
one
want
up
my head
is-
cut off again. He's not gonna speak, so he doesn't need it.
Turn your mic off.
hey,
well, next one up
Where
is
we at,
office.
Larry?
Are we moving up to top, the office supplies?
But he can also.
We get to office
If,
supplies.
do we have to go through every, this is
don't.
my question. We don't need to go through every line item, because everything's gonna be moved back to the 2015 budget. That's
The only-
all
the only
we
thing
suggest,
that I would say-
Except for the employees and the.
Right, if you have somebody like this maintenance person,
Right.
it needs to be brought up, I would
Right,
agree with
but
that.
other thing, everything else is pretty much normal.
So
right?
after
I mean,
January, bring him to the finance committee, bring it up to the finance committee?
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
I think you need to take it to the building authority too.
We've already done it, we're the ones that established it, we came up with it.
So I have a question on what Connie says. We're gonna move everything back to 2015. And then come January, everybody's gonna walk in the door on a finance meeting, and you're gonna do additional appropriations for all of these other requests you have on. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I don't know, will they need that much printing stuff in January?
All of these requests for the 2016 increases, if you don't have them in the budget now,
But they won't need them all in January.
But we'll need to submit them for the budget for the maximum levy.
That's why we're putting them all under the
That's why we
council.
put them all in.
no, so that's two different things though that I'm hearing. Either we're gonna cut them all, or we're gonna move everything to the council.
I think what you're gonna
how
do,
was it
Like we
handled
did-
last
like
year?
Same way we
Because-
did it last year.
How did
That's not how we did it last
That's
year.
not how you did it last year. Last year, you gave them the budget of what their, realistic 2015 budget was. You told them to spend it like it was 2014.
Right. But it was still there.
It was still there, and it was
Just-
still appropriated, it was
Right.
still there. And-
Everything under 5,000
and
was still
Youngja
there.
And all that stuff,
Right.
The only thing you all moved to yours was performance.
yes.
And capital
And you
expenses.
said-
And that is what I've said from the beginning.
And capital expenditure, but there's different things that are being
Being said,
said.
yeah.
That's why I don't understand it. So,
But like office supplies, they're adding another $2,000. We're not moving that $2,000 to the council's budget. We're leaving it in their budget, just saying operate
It's
off.
froze till after circuit breakers.
Right.
Yeah, but
so we're
We can
leaving
say
all
that,
those
but-
increases in there.
Yes. Leave them where they are.
see, I don't see how you can if you're gonna be over budget by $2.2 million.
yeah, we can't.
I don't see how you
We can't
can.
do that because we're going to be over and we're only going
This
to have
budget-
$273 million
Am I wrong?
in our general fund, which is low.
Am I wrong?
The proposed budget is more than the revenue.
Right.
It's $2.2 million more than the revenue, the way I look at it. It is. So you can't. keep
We
it
can't leave them in there
You
because it's
can.
too much money.
You can because we have money left over that's not appropriated.
So you're gonna spend more than you take in.
We're budgeting more than we're going to take in because that's how we get the maximum levy.
But some of these things, like with the new employee, also includes tools. Are you gonna move the tools over to the council's budget? And are you gonna move the request for the vehicle under the council's budget also? Or are you gonna leave it in his budget? Or are you
Well,
gonna
because we
cut
don't
it
even know if he's
off?
going to be hired in January. We said bring it to the
Right.
building, but we don't know if he's going to be hired. So I don't want to leave anything in their budget because if Scott was sitting here, this is what he would say. If it's in the budget, once it's in the budget.
They can spend it.
They can spend it.
Right.
We cannot keep them from spending it.
Right.
So he doesn't even have to come back and ask us, oh, I'm going to get this car. He can just go out and get the car. By law, because I believe there was a mayor taken to court on that very issue.
See,
And-
if I'm understanding this correctly, your 2016 estimated revenue budget is 29.9, and your original 2015 budget was 30,165, so you got about $250,000 worth of difference. I would sooner say you go to the 2015 original budget than the proposed 2016 budget, which is 2.2 million over.
I agree. Now, is this right, Heather? Like, estimated cash balance was $2,475,000, that was last year?
That would be estimated at the end of this year. If 100% of the budget was spent, which is not normally happening, and also if the revenues come in that we have very conservatively estimated.
But now the estimates now are $273,000.
Because all of the
At the end
estimates,
of 16, not the end
Yeah.
of...
and this is why that's not a good idea, because when we first came on the council, and even, not even first, Ed can remember this, we've had to pull money
Wake up,
out,
Ed.
$500,000 for health insurance, because the health insurance, you don't know what it's going to do. What are we gonna do if we only have $273,000
Well, I
left
agree,
in
there's
there?
there's over 2 million difference there.
That's my point.
Yeah,
So we're spending money we don't have.
you better go back to 2014 budget.
Started this year with $7 million in the general fund. We're estimating to end the year at 2.4.
Okay, we started with
So this
7
year.
million in the, that was after we got our taxes from November?
No, that was the actual January 1 cash balance.
Okay, but that's after we got the taxes in November?
December settlement.
December, we got a December settlement, but, so those had to last for the 6 months.
What
So,
we're saying is we're
but there was a time I'm sorry, but there was a time last year too, when you came before us, when we were looking at budgets, and we were in the red, because we did not have money in those.
That happens every year, just timing of when the revenues come in.
I know, but that's not good.
It's
But
going to
now it's
happen
just-
again here in a couple of months. I mean, it happens. Timing.
And to Amy's point, the beginning of 2015, the cash was at $7 million. And we estimated at the end of 2015, the $2 million that's on that sheet. So we're already spent about $5 million more than our estimated revenues.
I know some people
This
want
year.
to spend down the entire amount of money that we have, except for the $273,000. That is not a lot to have left in the general fund for a city of this size if there is an emergency, that something happens, whether it be health insurance, because we do not know if there's going to be 5 people come down with cancer because we're self-insured, and then we have to do all these payouts. It could hurt us, and it did, and it has in the past, and we have to be prepared for that. And we've already moved, and which is not counted in this, we had $1 million put back in one of the insurance funds, and that's not even being shown in this. Remember, we said we want our budget fixed back the way it was.
That's
Because
right,
somebody
that's
took
true.
out $1 million that we had budgeted.
So, question, Amy, I guess, I'll let Heather breathe for a while.
You're starting with a
In
budget.
this year,
And you can't do
we're,
this
we're,
like this,
we're
because your
projecting by the end of the year
numbers
that we
you're
will have
testing are wrong.
deficit spent $5 million.
Yes.
And then next year, if according to this, we're going to deficit spend $2 million.
We should have kept our
This is-
numbers the same
Right.
and started adjusting from those numbers. You can't do this the way you're doing it.
$5 million, we ended with $7 million.
Okay.
These are
You're gonna go broke, you're gonna be 2.2 million in a hump. I don't care how you look at it.
Yeah.
And
how
then
do
you always
yeah.
advertise that.
Just look into those two like that.
And DLGF cut your budget anyway.
I know.
No,
No.
Just look at these two numbers.
it's funded, Bill.
So,
Yeah.
Let the bank look at me.
I guess I just say that because I'm one that always says, the city's financially well, which is a good thing. It took a lot of effort, a lot of work by the administration, council, whomever, to make sure that's in place. And everybody was talking, but last year we spent $7 million more than we took in. And we're saying we're going to approve this year, spend $2 more million. But that's not what I hear out there. I hear that quite the opposite, that we have all this excess cash and we're living within our means. And we need to decide what's acceptable to this group.
What
Do we want deficit spending or do we not? I think that's kind of a question we have to be comfortable with. We have the money. I mean, we're in the bank. We're being told we have the money. But do we want to do that? That's just the question I think we have to wrestle with. Are we okay with saying our budget next year, we're going to deficit spend? So that's kind of where it is.
Yeah. We never have, and I don't think, I'm not going to be here next year to take the heat for it whenever it comes out that we don't have money to pay for stuff. So, but I would say we've not done that ever before, and I would say that it's not a good thing to do now.
Amy, did our budget last year, did we project a deficit spending of 7 or whatever last year? Do you remember?
I think we did something around $1 million.
Okay.
No, that's a lot too.
Okay.
And there's been lots of additional.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep, lots of it.
I hear you.
Lots of additionals done the last 6 months of the prior year.
Okay.
So we're going to keep the 2015 budget, is that what you're saying? I only had 2 little things anyway that need a little bit of extra money on anyway.
Yeah, I think we went way off what we were talking about with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Larry.
All right.
Larry's gonna go out of here like, what the, and I'm with you.
Well, I'm learning.
I have a question, Amy.
Okay.
In this sheet that we're all on right now, about midway through, there's an unexpended balance. What is that line? What is that column?
Yes.
Okay.
June, yeah.
So-
So the column 2 over from that to the left
Right.
shows you what was spent for the first 6 months,
Uh-huh.
and then that column shows you what's left of the budget
Right.
for the next 6 months.
Right. So all the way to the left, we have the 2015 original budget, which was $30 million. And then part the way over, the estimated revenue, January to December. Oh, never mind, I was looking at the wrong thing.
You look
Yeah,
at 6
'cause in
months.
2015, we had a 30,100,000 budget. This year, they're wanting to go up 32 million to one, you're going up.
Right.
Yeah.
2 million.
That
So we're gonna be
No,
taking,
from
we're
fif-
gonna,
original
it's
budget.
more over what revenues are being taken in, plus all these new employees. I don't see how we can sit there and say it's a balanced budget. I just don't see this. I don't.
I had a typo on here, that first column says 2015 original budget,
Mhm.
then the next one should be 2015
Amended budget.
Not 14, I apologize.
Okay.
That's probably.
Okay. And that was amended.
So that number would be the 30 million, plus the encumbrances, plus the additionals, equals the 31,307.
Okay.
What's the difference in the amended and the additional appropriation? I mean,
The amended would be the original budget, plus your additional appropriations, plus your encumbrances.
plus your income, and, okay, I'm with you.
So with our additional appropriations, we've actually approved to spend 1.2 million more than we budgeted last year, for this year.
And did we cut any of that last year? Was that part of the thing that we put in our council when we got the cuts from the tax thing?
The circuit breaker
Thank
impact
you.
was
2 points, and we planned for that. And it's in
Right.
here this year, right?
2.9, one of
Right.
those.
It was
numbers.
right around 3.
But that number went down. So really, in reality, if there was no additionals, that column for the 2015 additional would be negative almost $3 million.
Right.
So you've done additionals for that much plus another 700,000 so far this year. If all that is spent this year, that's why there's $19 million left to spend this year for the next 6 months,
When,
when we've only spent 12
12
million
to begin
so
with.
far. Yes.
right.
So you've done close to, $3.5 million additionals.
in the course of this year.
Yes.
It seems, I said I wasn't going to talk, I can't help it. It seems that if the council wants to have a revenue neutral budget, that if that's the intent, then we need to go back to finance and the mayor's office and say, send us a budget that has, we shouldn't go through every line item and try to tell them, Larry, no, you need to remove this, you need to, we need to say what the expectation, and say, give us a budget that is not a deficit spending budget.
Well, what'll happen when you cut anything out of police, you're gonna be down on public safety.
Yeah, and that's why I say,
Been there and done that.
but we shouldn't be the ones that have to cut that. We should say, give us a budget that is this way, or we accept the deficit spending. It's one or the other, and unless I'm looking at it wrong, and because otherwise we're going to be sitting here trying to pick and choose, tell them what to cut. And
My point is, if you're just moving your dollars, if you accept this budget the way it is, and you move your dollars over to council so that they're not spent and they're still in the budget, you're still at a negative $2.2 million in your budget. All you're doing is moving it from one area of the budget to another. So you either start with a revenue neutral budget, or you start with, like Nathan says, a negative budget, negative cash flow budget. I don't think there's any choice. Am I wrong in that? I think you have two choices.
I mean, then I guess what finance can do, they could say, well, we don't have to be as conservative on the revenue, because I hear what you want to make sure and be very safe on that, but
I don't
I don't know.
understand how this budget got to us like this anyhow. I really don't. I wasn't involved in the process. I know last 2 years, Connie and I sat in with the department heads. We kind of had our mind around everything, and then this year, everything's just, I don't
They
know.
wanted to be a press release. That's why.
It's what?
Because they wanted to be a press
there is discussion on, and I've actually been on the wrong side, other side of the fence on this than some, is should the city have that much money in the bank? Should we be having that and holding that amount? And maybe we shouldn't. And if that's the case, then, and we've got it, that at some point we have to let it trickle out and come back down. Or do we say, no, we're conservative, we're proud of that, and we're going to keep this money in the bank?
Well, I think with the uncertainties of insurance and so forth, at $1 million a hit,
I don't disagree.
With that insurance claim we saw Monday, all the insurance has gone up in the last 2 years. It's huge.
Or we can do this and we can be the county in a couple of years.
that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, we'll be a broke city in a broke county.
Well, if their school referendum goes through, it's going to lower your all tax rate. I mean, not tax rate, what you actually,
Income.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
Income.
If I look at this correctly, the original 2015 budget, the far left column, even if we took everybody back to that, we're still deficit spending.
$250,000.
Not, I mean, yes, it's minor, but it's still deficit spending.
That's why I think you better go to 14.
So, yeah, I hear you.
We really
You know-
can't go to 14,
Do you
Steve,
want us to
because
go
of the
back and
additional
look
employees.
at the revenues a little bit closer and not be as conservative?
That's the real problem, is in Indiana, we are not going to know what the actual revenue is until we get it. That's the problem with how this whole tax system works,
Yep.
is that the assessed value could go up, which it did for the first time last year, and we get more, or it could go down and we take a hit. And that's the
Well, you know, another thing that really worries me
Basis
is
of this problem.
walking through my district. I got a lot of empty homes in my district now. I got a lot of empty homes in my subdivision now, so
Plus
that's
the
no
county-
revenue
the county
coming
will
in.
mandate
They're getting ready to
So
right now.
are we going to be, even though properties were assessed whatever, we got a lot of empty homes, and
There's
that's
a lot
no
of
money
empty-
coming in.
There's a lot of empty homes in my
But
neighborhood.
we're not gonna get more money. It's just everybody pays less. It's whatever our levy is.
Right.
Right.
So,
The state sets the levy, that doesn't.
I think you said this,
Yeah.
budget. Oh, I bring us a damn budget.
Oh.
Larry, I'm sorry, this has
That's all right.
nothing to do with you.
You want to
It's-
sit down for a second?
We're just trying to
Yep.
figure this out.
No, we go back to
I
the
learn
flip
something every day.
You're still negative.
Well, I don't,
About $200,000
personally speaking,
now.
and for whomever takes my spot in the years to come, I don't want to strap them with a budget that is in the red. You can call me conservative, you can call me frugal, you can call me a tight ass, it don't matter to me. But I will not pass a budget that puts the next council person, all of them, the mayor, building, whoever it is, I will not support a budget. I don't think that's what we get paid to do. We may get close, but my biggest fear, and if you talk to people in the private sector, some companies that went up 25% in health insurance, and one company in particular, the lady I know worked for a company for over 40 years, they're cutting their health insurance out, and they're just giving her a check, so much money per month, and she's going to have to make up the difference, and it's going to be a financial hit. But I won't pass a budget in the red. No matter who beats me up, I won't do it. I'm not going to pass it on to whoever takes my spot. I just don't think any of us should do that, whether it's an election year or not. Because if you are elected, you're going to come back here next year, and now what are you going to do? You're going to take all of your LOIT money, you're going to take all your edit monies, and you're going to start taking all these monies to try to keep your head above water, and then you're going to get hit with this insurance claim, then what are you going to do?
It seems to me that we ought to have a budget that is neutral. And then, next year, when department heads come with special needs, then you make the decision, do you want to dig into your reserves, your extra, to fund that special need? But maybe don't go into it with knowing you're going to go ahead and do that, because you're going to have those requests anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, so,
That's true, we are.
but how do we get to that point? I mean, we can
I-
ping pong it back to you ladies,
I
but
think we say, take this back to the mayor and
Bring us a balanced budget. A revenue neutral budget.
no, he called this a balanced budget.
It's not a revenue neutral budget.
it's balanced because they're
You
taking
have
it from
reserves.
reserves. So that's a true statement, but it's not revenue neutral.
Taking money out of your savings account to prop it up is not really
A balanced
good
budget.
spending,
No.
because the reserves dwindle. That, I guess, in my mind, that's not what we want to do. Is there a case when we have to tap our revenue, like we do LOIT, or we total a fire truck, or wreck police cars, or total a dump truck? Yeah. And there's times when we have to go in there for them big expenditures. We can't calculate that, and that's going to happen. But you can't present a budget and then start taking all of your money out of your reserves and expect that to be fiscally responsible. I don't think, and of course, I'm frugal. But I don't think this budget works for us.
What do you think, Ed? You've not said
Yeah.
anything.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't.
You weren't here last Monday,
I know.
to talk now.
Well, it's kind of what Matt Owen said, is that we don't know for sure what our future revenues are until after the year starts. But I think as a community, as a city, our city's growing. We're getting more jobs. So it makes sense that we're going to have to spend more, that we probably should get more in revenue. We're probably going to have to spend more. But how much and how we do that is the question. And that's why, we always talk about payroll. Payroll is the scariest thing because it goes on forever. We never lay anybody off. To pay off debt, to buy a piece of equipment when we have the money, to build a building, that's easy. We know what the cost is, relatively speaking, and then it's done. I mean, there's some maintenance costs that continue. But when you add a whole bunch of employees, that's the scary part if revenue goes down after that. So I think, I like the idea of going to at least revenue neutral. And then we could always, if we have more money after the circuit breakers kick in, consider other requests. And that's kind of what we've done in the past. But it'd be hard to make those decisions that are substantially over the revenue neutral position. before we know what circuit breakers do. I mean, hopefully the assessed values keep going up and, jobs keep going up and we do get more revenue. And come, 8 months from now, we'll be able to add some positions or make some additional appropriations if the revenue comes in a
You're almost
positive way.
working a year in arrears, which is
Yeah,
smart.
that's exactly what, yeah.
So with that being said, what do we do? What do we do? What's our next step here? Do we continue with the department heads, which is really wasting time? Or do we ask for a more neutral budget?
How much time do we even have, when does this have to be in by?
The
2nd of October.
hearing is, I think, the last meeting in September.
I mean, so this has to be done quickly, I mean,
We have to submit a budget to get our maximum levy, but besides that, all the pieces that get us there can be,
Jostled around.
yes.
Can I make a suggestion? Or just, why not let the department heads go ahead and tell you what they need? Because Thursday basically is for you all, that's what y'all schedule Thursday for, to sit and talk your all's budget and then also decide what you all are gonna do.
Okay.
Okay? And that will give you a better idea. I'm not saying don't, they have taken, we've scheduled it, give them the opportunity, so. Just my opinion.
And to your point, to Ed's point, I think, that's kind of what we're doing is we're moving all those new employees and all that new equipment under our budget so we control it and we don't spend those dollars until we're comfortable doing so. And it's not going to make up everything.
no. No.
I do have fears about our insurance though, with the additional
Yeah.
payroll, with the loss history we've had. I think we're going to be paying more. We don't know what that's going to be yet.
I agree with Vicki. Let these guys get their fight
You
over
got
this
it.
and go on.
Well, yeah, so we're already running late.
Yeah. We are into it.
I think, Larry, you're pretty much,
They're done, Larry.
Done.
you are a guinea pig. God love you.
Poor thing.
Hey, Larry,
Somebody's got to do it.
Poor
Hey,
thing.
Larry,
Uh-huh.
before you run off,
Uh-huh.
have we got any more questions for Larry on that?
No, because this budget is all.
We got the building authority too. Do we want to look at any of that
Oh, yeah, we need to let,
real quick?
Let's see.
Everything stays the same on 8. I put a little bit more money in there. Flags just went way up.
You've only increased it $2,000. Is that what other supplies is for flags?
Yes, it's flags, yes. And that's all the pay increase, or any increase I've got on building authority.
All right,
If
gotcha.
we run out of money, we had to transfer some this year.
But that doesn't look right.
Other than that, everything's the same.
Fund 410 on
Where's
page
Page
31.
31 at the very bottom.
31.
Very
Building
bottom.
authority.
Fund 410.
Sorry.
He's only wanting 2,000 for flags. That looks good to me.
Keep us from doing a transfer.
Yeah.
We had to transfer money out once already this year.
Larry, on this, we got a city autos and it's broken down by departments. I was just going to verify, I think we ought to verify all of the equipment and vehicles per department as we come to them, and we didn't do that Monday or Tuesday night, Monday night, whatever it was. You all have a 2006 black Dodge 1500,
Yes.
okay? And a 2010 black Ford Escape.
Yes.
2015 black Chevy Equinox.
Yes.
That's the one you just got.
Yes.
96 red Dodge Dakota.
Yes, it's in my fleet. Zoning's using it.
So,
We rarely ever use it.
is that all you have then?
Yes, that's it.
What was you wanting to replace you put in there for a new vehicle? What was you looking at?
For his new employee.
Well, that was part of the
Okay.
serviceman, and I was gonna say something on that too, we just put in there what the price of a new one is. I thought if one of the other departments' parks or one of them had a old utility one they were gonna trade in or get rid of, I mean, the guy, that would be
Because I was
fine.
going to ask you what kinds of.
That'd be
utilities
fine.
he's
Well, he
making.
needs a utility
Okay.
type to haul all his tools in.
So we,
I don't see it.
And I just kind of guesstimated on tools, to get him started, you know.
Control for the building commissioner,
Where at?
It's on the,
and then it's got
Third
this one,
page.
which she said.
planning and zoning.
Oh, planning and zoning, my bad.
That's
He was
it.
looking
Yeah.
for zoning.
Oh, I was. So, okay,
But,
I understand now.
so to clarify, on page 6, we're going to move that 29,850 to council.
I have talked to the police department, and they have a spot that we can use for the maintenance man. It'll make it a little tool room and a place for him, like a little desk,
Where's that at?
at the police department. But that's where he'll be needed probably the most.
They having that many problems?
Brand new building.
They've had,
I mean,
just a couple issues with alarms going off, but, you know, it's still under warranty, so they come in, but they have to physically call in people and say, hey, I got an alarm going off, you gotta come in. But talking to them, you know, they want them to take over the cleaning, you know, everything, cleaning people, be under, you know, the maintenance guy be under all them guys.
Larry, you got the 2005, and I noticed several nights I've been here, your alarm is doing what my car alarm, your car alarm is randomly going off.
Is it? And my new
Not
Equinox?
going on now on the Escape,
Oh, that's
because
sewer billing.
it's sewer bill.
Hers goes off all the
I have
time.
2005, and it's
Yeah.
getting repaired right now because
Is
of
it?
that. It's been doing the same thing.
Yeah, it's Alicia's.
As I know that one night I was
I
here.
called down there all the time,
I
told her
thought
to
it was
turn it
mine,
off.
but wasn't mine that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you,
Great.
Larry.
Is that it?
Yep.
We apologize for the,
That's all right.
we really don't. We really,
So everybody got that? We're moving the
yes.
vehicle to council. All on the same page.
Okay, Miss Sarah.
Realistically, if we have them do a new budget, we gotta do it all over again.
What page is Sarah on?
And
Oh, thank you. You're on it, Mike.
we're not half hour behind.
Well, kind of what we were saying, Sarah, just so you know, is performance pool's going under council. So is any capital expense 5,000 and above, like we did last year. And any new employee or whatever nothing like that won't be addressed until after, huh? Oh. Well, that won't be addressed until after circuit breakers, like we did last year. And the animal shelter, she has some significant changes, a supply category of 11,008, service category of 7,200, and then she's requesting a new vehicle, which you requesting a new vehicle? A third for a animal control officer?
Yeah.
10,000? Okay, you got that look like what? A what?
Thought we were holding on that, but I guess it's snuck in there.
We're trying to find you a car.
Yeah, I was thinking we were holding on that because we were trying to find a used
Okay.
somewhere in the city, so we didn't have to ask for that, so.
And I think you had quite a few issues with not enough budgeted into this year for your utilities. Am I remembering that well, or was that last year?
Might have been last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we moved some money recently over, I believe, professional services and medical supplies, and maybe uniforms. It was just a few weeks ago.
It looks like you're moving an administrative assistant to the administrative assistant too, is that right?
Mm-hmm, yes, that's already happened. So she's, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those payroll
We already did
creation
that.
changes are all because you had a lot of changes recently.
This year, yeah, I'm not asking for any new
That's
employees
nothing-
next year. Yeah.
That's no change.
No, huh?
So there's no new employees?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
So I guess the first, explain what you've got the supply category, significant change of 11,800.
Okay.
You know what you were...
Are we looking at medical?
Okay.
I believe most of that is medical, and that's just, we seem to continuously go over in medical. That includes all our vaccinations, heartworm tests, surgical supplies for our spay and spay and neuters, and also antibiotics, things like that, things of that nature.
You've already used 80% of your budget for this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then the service category, was that for the vet? Or
So-
was that for, you're asking for an increase of 7,200?
That's contractual services, is that what you're looking at?
No, I'm not sure where you're looking.
I'm good looking,
Mhm.
remember how she gave us that paper of significant changes? Because you said you're going to go line by line, let's go over what their significant changes were and address their employee, that kind of.
No, a couple thousand of that is contractual services with the Heartland, a couple extra things that we're doing that way, we went over, so. Professional services.
Listen, Connie, the significant changes for the 2016 budget. Okay. Okay, those were the main questions I had. Did you have to address anything else that you're having issues with?
About the sick, well, down a little bit, animal service coordinator, you said that's not a new employee?
No, he's already, that was this year, we asked for that, and he's already, it was basically moving, Ed White is now in charge of the two, we added the animal control officer, so he's now in charge of the two animal control officers in the court.
Around in her budget to make all that happen.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she really worked hard on that, and she didn't even,
We did finally get the third animal control officer too, she's
good,
started today, so.
good.
How was
Page
the
nine.
on-call stipend done before that's added for the 2016?
Because that,
It was included in the animal control account,
Was it?
and it, for some reason, nobody knew that it was, we have a whole nother account for on-call,
Okay,
so it's not new.
Right,
It's
it's
just
just
not budgeted up there.
labeled separately.
mhm.
And are we moving the salary increase for the director? Are we holding that, or is that okay to stay?
We
No.
can't do it for one and not do it for everybody.
No, all of them are being.
So all of them are moving?
Yep.
And you're aware of that? You've got an increase of $32.50 for the director's salary. Everybody who's asking for a raise outside of the performance increase pool, the council has decided to pull into their budget.
That's my
Oh, is
current,
that-
yeah, that's my
Oh.
current pay, I'm not asking,
Sorry,
I'm happy, I'm not, not asking for anything else.
we've changed yours a
Giving
lot.
me a raise.
Different because it says the amended budget for 2015 is 48,249.
The 51.5 is what she's currently making.
Mhm.
I know, but that doesn't make sense.
That don't make, that's the same thing we were.
Well, Charlie made a different rate than I do,
Yeah,
is why that's different.
because you came back to us.
When did you come back?
October.
And she was approved at a higher rate, so for the end of October, there was a little bump, or the end of the year last year, there was a little bump.
Mm,
But we approved her at that certain level when she came back.
right. And then we got our 3%
Right.
this year, yeah.
Any more questions?
I don't have any more questions for her. Does anybody?
That being said, moving
You were
forward.
easy.
I know, I'm grateful.
Nathan wants
She got
to
to
eat,
hear
so I
what
think we
they're-
should ask him.
No, I'm sitting back there going, oh my gosh.
Some rice in the red grove.
I think we have
Yeah,
police merit.
well, police merit in here right now. I'd like to go ahead and do fire merit,
Oh, okay.
and then we'll do police merit.
Can you tell me what page?
Okay, you're gonna go to page 12. Jeff, you wanna come up? Okay, I'd like to say one thing on Jeff's behalf. He was I worked with the Police and Fire Merit Commissions. He was the only Merit Commission president that actually submitted a budget.
Oh.
So,
We
Whether you
work,
like it or not, that's
Yeah.
another thing.
but he works very closely with me each year, and we go through it constantly, so.
And she brings us where we're at every meeting, so we know where we're at.
Yeah, they know what's been spent, what's in their budget, so they're pretty good.
We're real good.
You're very good.
We're real good.
So the secretary in there, that's for the secretarial service to remain the same. Social Security, I don't calculate, so we're figuring that'll be the same anyway. Office supplies, as you can see, the only thing that's actually went up was the legal services.
Which we're actually low. We're going to be low this year again.
Right.
But if it depends a lot on if we get some litigation during the year where somebody does something happens, and then it just starts going through the courts. So we really need that money in there just in case. And that's the same thing with, actually with the testing. As you all know very well, they want more firefighters. And if you go, okay, we're going to do more firefighters, then we're going to need more money for testing for the new guys. So that's why we put that in there this year again.
One thing about... We're going to have 3 with 2016.
And hopefully.
Oh, okay.
I'm not advocating either way. I know they've given us the what it costs to hire them, and we understand that. That's it's a big expense, and we got a big city, and there's, I think that I think in 8 years or whatever this thing's been going on, I think there's a better communication between all the people involved in this, as far as hiring, promotions, testing, everything else. I think it's really worked well. I mean, it's up to you all to decide whether you want to keep it going or not. You have the ability to just say, we don't want this anymore. But I think it has really worked really well.
This may be more a question for Vicki. Do you know why there's such a disparity between the fire legal and the police legal?
Well, the difference is in the fire legal, that includes in case, like he said, that they have to go outside. They always put in their budget in case they have to go outside and hire another attorney besides their attorney. That's why, in case it's legal. We've tried to get the Police Merit Commission has always been very...
Do we pay the police merit and the fire merit attorney the same?
No.
Why not?
No, because they had their contracts, so they set their own hours. I do believe this year, though, they're about the same.
I think if you...
Yeah.
Yes.
I think this
pretty
year,
close.
the Fire Merit Commission and the Police Merit, prior, I think the Fire Merit Attorney was a little higher. Yeah. But that's why their budget, I mean, I think like last year, they did not use around 50,000 that they went back into, was turned back in, basically, is what I'm saying.
Realistic.
So, yeah.
I got you.
So even though they budget more in their budget, because I've been going through all their stuff from 2014 to when I started, and this is the first time they've actually, you all have made an appropriation for them. They've never had a budget. So this year they've had a budget.
We've had a budget, but not itemized.
Right.
Right.
And so now this year you all are actually seeing what the breakdowns of each one of these are, so.
And, as many things that you all have to look at, if you look at our budget and look at what we spend and what you've appropriated for us, I don't think you've got a problem. I really don't.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I think so, too. Plus, we know Vicky's on top of it all, and
Yeah.
she's bringing it every meeting, so
Right.
I appreciate that.
So Vicky, are you gonna do the police?
Yeah, so you're okay.
I'm okay. I want to hear what they're doing.
Well, you can. You can sit here with
Not as
me.
much as you.
I thought they were going to come, we invited them tonight, if you all recall, at the last finance meeting. On the police merit, if you recall, at the last meeting, they had made a request, and how we came up with the police merit budget is, after 3 attempts with them, finally Patty and I, since Patty's been the stenographer for them for a long time, came up with, kind of with the budget with them. We added more into the testing line item, because I think at the present time, we are now down to almost $2,700 left in their testing item, and I'm sure that's going to be used, and eventually probably have to come back this year and ask for an additional. So we're not really sure yet, because, but anyway, so the 25, that's why you see that, because with the new testing for next year, I'm sure you're going to see an increase on that line item. Plus, there was also questions about them being paid when they do interviews. And if you recall at the last finance meeting, there was a $1,500 that was submitted in claims that I explained to them I could not pay because I cannot go what the salary ordinance tells me. Above and beyond. So that might be something, I was hoping they'd kind of be here to help us. We went up in books and supplements because with the new people coming in, the new potential candidates, for some reason, books are bought. So that was a guesstimate on Patty's help. Other than that, I just rounded off the legal fee to $7,300 versus the $7,250. I just made it rounder. And advertisement, because what happened, and you'll see $1,900, because what happened last year, they advertised in, I think, November and December. I didn't get the bill till January. So there was no way to take it out of the the prior budget because I didn't do that. So we had to pay November's, December's, and then January's for the advertisement for the applicants. So that's why I rounded it off basically again. So really there's an $8,800 increase. Well, yeah, increase in their budget. And I don't know if you all want to just consider or think about, like you told them, maybe at some point, if they do interviews, I know you all talked about maybe addressing that at another time or doing something different, contractual service.
What we spoke about in the meeting is because they do their own interviews, they don't have an outside organization come in and do it. And so those people have to take off work if they work, and they have to come in and do these interviews. And I remember when Beanie Smith did it, the first year that we ever had one, and he worked for Solid Trucking or Free Enterprise, that was one of their questions. We didn't realize it was, they were in here for a week.
Right.
And so we said maybe for the times if they are doing, not just every time when they need to go out to dinner or whatever they were doing to get these things last time, but when they do the testing, if there could be a little slight increase,
Yeah.
maybe a per diem per day or something.
And I also think
Can I raise my hand?
Can I say something real quick? And then I want you to speak.
This one.
Number one, they do their own interviews too.
Okay.
Number two, I think their interviews were actually done after 4:30, weren't they? Some of them may have started at 3:30, but they were done at 4:30 after work hours.
But what they did, they didn't just they were not now, unless the police have changed it, they didn't just do the interviews. They did some of the testing,
No.
some of the questions. Yeah, they were.
No, I know that, but no, they don't do that now. These were just oral interviews.
Okay.
I thought
That's
the
different
request that
because
they brought,
before, they were doing everything.
No, they have a company, IPS. This is what they do.
IPSP does both the the fire and the police, as far as the getting together of the information, the testing for new hire, the testing for promotion. They do the grading of all the interviews and the testing. We, as the fire merit, we get together, we have all 5 of us, plus we try to get 3 people to volunteer outside to do the promotional testing, because we don't have the expertise to know the tactical stuff. So all that's done, and all we've ever asked is buy us lunch. Okay? It's all, and I take off 3 days, and everybody else on the board takes off, and it's hard sometimes to get, because we got school teachers and everything else. But it works. We make it work. But that's, when you look at our budget, you got to realize there's a lot of volunteer work in that too. And it's going there to see somebody climb a ladder, because they have to have that done before they can get perf.
Right.
And, it's there's a lot of work in the background of that. So, I don't know what the police, that's theirs. I know that ours is a pretty lean budget, and we don't waste money, and we don't waste anybody's time. And
Well, I didn't say
it
that,
works.
and the police aren't here to really, they should have been here.
Well, yeah, because basically what they request from us, they wanted to be paid because they said that they were meeting for interviews. I think each one wanted to be paid $300.
$300, be
because they had
$1,500.
3 days,
Uh-huh.
but they did interviews.
Right, and they did the interviews after ours.
They were doing, every time they had a meeting, they were starting to, if
Yeah,
they had
till
an
we
extra
stopped
meeting, they
that,
were
yeah.
meeting.
Yeah.
It wasn't just
Yeah,
interviews.
no, but what they submitted this time was just strictly oral interviews. It was not the testing. That's done by a different company.
Well, then they can do theirs after hours too.
They do.
The police does?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They were doing it.
All I know is when it first started, they didn't. It was done.
No.
And I remember the
Yeah.
policemen, the people coming in, because there was like 50 or 60
Well, that's
people coming in to be.
That's because the first time they did it, they had like that, they had to hire about 12 or, they did 12 or 16. They had a bunch at one time. That's why they had to do it so much that first time.
Yeah.
But now it's slacked off, now it's like whatever they have or promotions or whatever.
And that's done every 2 years, isn't it?
Correct.
Yeah, you got to remember this.
It's a 2-year cycle for promotion and hiring. And you got a 2-year list,
Yep.
which for the fire, we're down to number 9, I think.
Yeah, you're getting through it.
Yeah, we're going through that list.
What page is your
What page
budget?
is yours on?
I'm on 11.
I'm sorry.
Oh, you're okay.
But I think if within our budget, if we're asking people to come in to help us the same way we do IPSP, to do work that we're paying them for, we ought to be able to pay the people that are doing the testing when it comes up and the promotion when it comes up. We're asking them to quit their job for a few days. So,
We got,
$100 a day just isn't that
Well, no, but
much.
that's what the agreement was, and that's what everybody knew when they signed up for this, was volunteer, so.
That's fine.
I know, and that's what the first people did when it got started. It was a lot of work back then.
Well, thank you for all your time and energy that you put in.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Lisa.
Okay, on mine, as you can see, basically, where's that one sheet that you all had? Under your significant budget changes, the only significant budget, and I know there's nothing you all can do about it now anyway, is an increase for me because, and I'm just, it's up to you all, but actually.
You can't do that until the end of the year.
Exactly. Oh, I know that, but I just want to say I'm one of the lowest paying department heads, and I'm not a department head.
But the thing that's different with you is it has to be done by.
Yes. All right, so stating that, I still have in there in my budget for a traffic clerk, because we have talked several times about doing virtualization, and I just have a funny feeling, not virtualization, ordinance violation bureau, and I just have a funny feeling that's not going to happen. So I want to tell you, because there's been different emails and different questions, I have contacted the town of Highland, city of Elkhart, town of Wolcott, town of Leo Cedarville, town of McCordsville, town of Osgood, town of Danville, town of Ingalls, and town of Cumberland. Because there was discussion that people, you had to have a city court in order to do that. I've checked with each one of them. And the one in particular that has the best ordinance is the town of Highland. They collect building or code enforcement issues. Anything that's an ordinance violation, they collect. And when they collect it, then it goes into, whoever is supposed to get it, of course. And that would include the police law enforcement fund. If there are tickets that are not paid, then they get the attorney to write a legal letter, or an attorney letter is what they call it, stating if you don't pay this by X number of times, we're going to take you to county court, circuit court. He bunches them all up together, they take them to the courthouse, file them all at the same time, and the defendant pays the court costs and all the court fees. She said very rarely do they ever take anybody to court, because once they get that attorney letter, they
Pay up.
yeah. And like I said, it's not on moving violations, which we cannot do, it's on ordinance violations, and which would include all the ordinances that could be collected. You're talking about how to generate more money, that's a way to generate it, because presently we aren't making any money. But I don't think that's going to happen, so I just want to bring that up. Second thing I want to...
Well, because right now, code enforcement, I don't even know what they're doing, but I bet you they're not collecting any. There's lots of things that they should be fining for, and when I look around town, I don't see, unless it's on grass.
Well, and there's even things that if we don't do it, we do get ordinance violations through the court that Les handles, that is paid. If we don't have an ordinance violation bureau, then they would even, if anybody wants to right now, would they even write a ticket for it if it's not going to be paid, if it's not going anywhere? So, I mean, that's something but I'm just going to tell you, I have a...
She's ready to move forward on it all. She's
Well-
had several meetings, even with the chief, it's been dragging his feet.
And the problem is, we are now into getting ready to go in September. We're working on getting the court closed. In order to get this up and running by January 1, we would have to have, we got to move on it. BSNA, I looked on the building commissioner's site. They have what they call ordinance violation section of that, and I don't know if they even use that, but that is something we could use for the collection of the money and, to have a running track record. Saying that, then I'm going to get on another bandwagon, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings at all. That's not what I'm going to say. But saying that, we worry about how we're going to have extra money for parks, and we worry about how we're going to have extra money for this, and how we're going to we do all this free stuff and everything. One thing we don't think about, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying everybody as a whole, is our database system. And I have asked Matt to even address this. Right now, I think our servers are 2003. If we crashed, we lose all of our information. Now, and he explained to me, he says, well, it won't totally be gone, but your public documents will be in a whole big list thing, and then you'll have to go through and search them. Okay. The problem with that is, too, my Laserfish system is at 9.4. We cannot upgrade it, and we've talked about things that we want to add on to the Laserfish program for public documents. We can't even do it. I can't even do a training on some of the new stuff that's come up because we have an 8.1 version. Our servers will not hold an upgrade. So, to me, we're in a kind of a close bind. I know the other day, both Patsy's computer and my computer, a blue screen came up that showed it was crashing. So I don't know if that's, go ahead.
Addressed this and brought this up with Matt, and I'm just going to tell you, every time I talked to Matt Owen about this. I talked to Matt Owen about this. I said, well, Matt Owen hasn't put anything out. If you talk to him, the rest of us don't know. So I really thought virtualization and all that stuff had, it's nothing against him.
No.
Oh, you were looking at me
But
like...
what,
No, I have a comment.
Oh, okay. So...
Is that Matt said that he's going to be contacting you.
well, here's the problem. I know what Matt said. And I told Matt, I said, Matt, and that was 2 months ago we've been talking about this. I told Matt then, no, I have told Matt then that he needs to bring this to you all at the present time during budget hearings, and then take it to the finance meeting, because there's a difference between virtualization and also the off-site production that he needs to do for data storage. I know he's going to be at it, but I'm saying they need to know this for the simple fact it's been dragging on for over a year.
Yeah, so let's get it taken care of. We'll get to at the next finance meeting if we need to.
Well, and Matt will be coming to you all in budget hearings, and I would hope you all would ask him about the virtualization. I mean, I know it's going to cost some money, but the problem is
Sure he does.
we got to have it.
You know where he's at and what he's
I know
doing,
you
so if you could just...
And I'm sorry, I'm just passionate about it. I don't want to lose documents.
Yeah, no, we don't want you to.
So anyway, with that, I'm done.
Matt feels compelled to talk to me about these things because I'm the young guy and I'm supposed to understand it
Oh,
all.
I thought maybe it's
But-
because your name is Matt.
I don't know.
It's a Matt thing.
But he's very much been researching and,
Over a year.
yeah.
And I told him last week, he has to tell you all.
Right.
He cannot say, I'm going to bring it up here. He has to tell you all what he needs,
to
so it can be built in the budget.
and move forward. And that the reason I think he's been hesitant to do so is there are so many moving parts in going to virtualization, and it's going to be expensive. I mean,
The virtualization part isn't going to be as expensive as the data storage area, off-site data.
offsite.
And that's what he told me 2 weeks ago.
Does
The
that-
virtualization is not going to be as much, and he can have us switch to virtualization within a week or two. And then that means we can then eventually get our systems set up.
Can we take it out, Lloyd?
But she's right. We need to be pushing along with
Don't the
this.
police do the majority of that, in the majority of theirs? Oh, well, no? Oh, okay.
So anyway, I rest my case. Right now, I don't need anything else. I don't think I do. So, and our new copier will be in tomorrow.
Break.
Woohoo!
Break.
I have Kristen.
We basically don't have what we call a revenue balanced budget. In other words, this budget exceeds the revenue we're taking in.
Okay.
So we've got a lot of questions and concerns about that because we got a lot of experience going off this council. What are we turning over for this next year's council coming in? Because you got new ones that are going to be coming in that got to get acclimated with the different funds and revenues, and that's a whole other issue part of it. So really, we're going to be making decisions Thursday with the meeting we have scheduled.
Okay.
We'll let you know. But right now, kind of what we've been telling all the department heads is the same as last year, is for, the circuit breakers and the insurance is an unknown. So we're pulling performance pools we did that same for police last time, didn't we?
Well,
They don't
Yeah.
get-
they're down by the contract.
Well, they still have civil city
Have the
employees
city.
that we pulled under.
It's small
Civil
amount.
city.
Yeah, and then also, because they got their contractual, but that's different, but, and then all the capital, anything 5,000 and above under us. I don't think you all came before us other than for vehicles, but you came here for that. I don't think you have any other capital expenses that don't come out of the general, you're Lloyd. And also, of course, what we've told all the other department heads, all the new employees will be addressed after circuit breakers. But
Okay.
just so you know, but then we'll make a decision on all that stuff on Thursday. So you have the floor, you may begin. I think you handed us all an email here.
Yes, I did.
The
email, you see, it starts off, when I outlined the transition of the police department in July with the new structure, I had the key components involving community policing and the proactive policing elements. As I'm working to go forward to proceed with the 2016 budget and inquiring and asking for police officers, this is just a supportive document for you to know that the reason I'm asking for police officers, one, where the officers are going to go, in structure of the department within the patrol division, what we want to do with the investigative detective division, and then also I cite Chief Hedrick's growth plan. With his growth plan, I do agree. I cited some of the aspects of the growth plan and the East End and downtown crossing. One of the things that I did not factor in July and I communicated about was a traffic division. As we add these police officers, we are going to need to reenact. Jeffersonville Police Department did have a traffic division, and we are going to have to make that a component. I'm trying to give you and provide as much information as possible when asking for vehicles, police officers, to give you an idea where you don't have to guess what we're going to do with the equipment or what we're going to do with the officers. And I think it works really well, and I appreciate all the help and support that I've gotten from the council with all the requests I've made. And I want to cite that everything I've asked and inquired for, I've gotten a response back, and I appreciate that. Just general, I did a product with the workload. I don't want to inundate you with a bunch of numbers. I know you're familiar with the plan that Lieutenant Grimm provided last year, but I did take off and I wanted to cite and show that, you know, while asking for officers and within this plan where we did increase the manpower levels, the structural levels of officers on second and third shift, the reason why. If you look at under general product workload on page 2 of the email, in 2014, we had approximately 30,000 calls for service. Those are calls that officers respond to, initiated. That's what we're out on for runs. As of right now in 2015, August 25th, we're already at 21,000. So it factors, it's over 2,000 a month, and you can figure going from September to December, you know, that's going to raise, and we're going to exceed that. And that fits along with what we're having with the growth of Jeffersonville and where we are, where that number is going to land. But I wanted to give you some comprehensive idea. That's what I'm talking about with the calls for service. Going down to number 3, you can see that the number of calls in July, I picked out July as knowing as a police officer being here for 21 years, that is a busy month. That's why I grabbed the month of July. The month of July, the officers, and I grabbed from the second shift, which is the active shift, and you can see that they had approximately almost 1,150 calls. For the total month, we had approximately 2,500. And just to give you an idea, that was for 2014. In 2015, you see that for the month of July, we had approximately 3,100 calls, close to 3,200. So you can see the difference from 2014 to where we are now in 2015, where those numbers increased and where they raised. I showed you also that the number of calls, as you see, was approximately 1,476, with the calls being on second shift. And again, that you've heard from, speaking to various members of the agency, the department, the call volume, I'm just trying to cite where the activity is, and that's why in the comprehensive plan, when we made a transition within the police department, we started working on the shift with the officers. We started increasing those numbers from 8, and we went back to 9, and the focal point is with adding these officers that we want to increase the officers to second shift, the night shift, and we also need to make a raise with the first shift. Again, you heard me spoke of needing a traffic division. That's going to have to work in tandem with the first shift and what we have. So, is there any questions I can field off of the email? Also, in your email, you're going to have the flow chart. It's going to be number 1, the structure of the police department, and then you're also going to have a flow chart. I included the detective division. Just briefly to speak of the detective division, with adding some officers, looking at wanting to add 1 detective to the child sex crimes. Currently, the department's been working those style cases with a dedicated detective now for over 20 years. Charlie Thompson was the first. He's retired. The detective that took over at that point was Detective Isaac Parker. He's been working on now for approximately 7 years, and those cases are in abundance of a load where Detective McGee's brought to my attention that we could utilize a second detective to work those cases with Detective Parker, also to alleviate Detective Parker's load of dealing for 7 years straight. He has small children, but we are going to do that regardless of what number of officers we have. So go ahead, Nathan.
Chief, I'm sorry, talking about the traffic unit, help me understand what you mean, what's the difference in a traffic unit and what we got out there today?
Those officers will be dedicated to work on traffic problems, complaints. They'll be out on the artery roads, and what that does is that slows your accidents down. And it's shown through statistics that working traffic, having officers dedicated to work on traffic points, you're slowing speed down in those areas, and that gives you a reduction.
Instead of doing what, like, if you'd ask, I would consider the folks that are out there today or tonight doing traffic, because you see them on the road, but what?
They're working,
Just help me understand.
they have the ability to work traffic, and they do, however, they're still on the main response for calls for service. So they're not dedicated to that, they may be pulled off. You know, we will issue morning assignments, but if the circumstances such as last Wednesday of an accident on I-65 southbound, and it has the interstate tied up, those assignments aren't going to get met.
Okay, that's helpful. Like, so if right now, if somebody calls and there's a domestic situation at a house, somebody's out there goes. But if you have the traffic unit on the street, not necessarily they would go, somebody else would go, unless they would have, unless there's a need, then they would go.
Yes, and basically they're task oriented to traffic and those assignments. Will they assist and help with overflow? Absolutely. But they are task and detail oriented to those types and styles of assignments. So such as complaints that you all give or provide to me, I have people that are directly have the capabilities versus trying to set up a schedule and work with the shift commanders or supervisors to get those met. So that's what that will allow us to provide. I cited in there about the roundabouts in the East End, and as that's, we're going to definitely need to, with that area.
Nathan Samuel wanted that, so just make
Well, I ground about that. I think that's progressive.
Actually, a high.
Kenny, isn't it though safe to say, because I noticed that on my ride-alongs and officers I've talked to, when you're bringing in a traffic division, will they be doing traffic stops?
They'll be doing stops, but we'll take, for example, obviously, that area there, what you see, we will do some concentration of traffic enforcement exercises there to get people used to merging into that traffic. As of right now, we've reinstituted, we started for the first day today, we brought the traffic arrow and signboards, we made repairs on those. We got the repairs done in our budget, and we're getting those back out to areas. Had some complaints in the Pebble Creek area. Councilman Julius mentioned that too as well before, and we had the signboard out in that area. So what we're trying to do is use the equipment we have to get reintroduced back into the public in some of the aspects where we've not been in years to get a response and try to make a difference.
But it's pretty much the norm that when an officer's on duty, it's his judgment call to what traffic stops he's making. But I know that when I did ride-alongs, we observed that something that needed to be traffic stopped, but just basically had to be let go because of the number of call volumes that were still on hold, and that there was domestics all over the place that night.
Right, and then you're not going to be making, even if you see an obvious traffic violation as a supervisor, you're not going to be making traffic stops. You need to be responding because you're on a time clock to make those responses. And even versus someone running a stop sign almost causing an accident, that call that came in for service, you have to make that decision, and it's to call for service.
I have a question.
Yes.
Looking at the call substantially increased. And our city's increased also, but when you look at the number, it's like 30%. It's like a crazy number. We don't have that many more people living in Jeffersonville. We don't have that many more people driving in Jeffersonville. Why do you think the number is up 30%?
Oh, I'll tell you in relation to the activity of drug-related narcotics. And again, I'm going to be biased being a narc for approximately 10 years, but the rudiments, you're looking at 1 in 10 calls, you're looking at approximately 60 to 70%, somewhere in that range of your shoplifting calls. That's a high relation of going there and getting that person that's shoplifting. It's driven by a habit of bad substance. So that's what you're seeing and what you're faced with today. And also, you take in mind with what we're seeing today with society as a whole, the violence and the action and the nature of people not to step and walk away, but our attitudes and behaviors now, where we are.
Do you track the calls and what they are?
Yes, absolutely. So, yep. Any breakdown that you're looking for or wanting, just let me know. Shoot that to me, and we'll get that back to you.
Because one of the first, a couple of thoughts I had, maybe it's because of all the construction and change of traffic volume. You used to, it's a new morning, you're used to going one certain way, and now it's different.
Right.
So people are hitting, you know, each other or barriers or going off road more than they normally do. And I don't know, you know, if that was maybe a factor that maybe might go back to a lower number after construction.
It could be.
And downtown and the highway.
You can look into then that dissection of information. You can look into the demographics of accidents in a construction area. You can pull that out, and the demographics then will give you that number off of that.
And the change to the call center, did they change, did that change anything on procedures or how they, what they classify or what they would send to us versus?
They prioritize the calls.
They do the prioritize of the calls, and you do have a number where our training and our skill set of people that we had where they could handle and they could mitigate things by phone. With 5 agencies coming in now, name, address, type of call information and pass on, that's Jeffersonville Police's responsibility to get that information out so it's generated as a call. Whereas we may pass that call, transfer it back to me being a supervisor, I could handle that call here on station and talk to someone, or just take the information over the phone and we could meet their need. Everything is, you're correct, is dispatched out.
Another question too, Mike. When there's an accident, like say an accident in a parking lot or private property, and there's nobody injured, does the police still have to go there to make a report?
Yes.
Even on property, there's no one's injured, just people back up into each other?
Yeah, it's a civil action issue, but we, as good stewards and public servants, we take that. Could we refuse that? Yes, we could. We do not refuse it.
A couple of things, Kenny, too, is, I think the 250,000 visitors is off a little bit because, I don't have the numbers with me, but that machine we bought that calculates, if you come over and go back, it's counted as 2 times. It is off a little bit. But
Just to let you know, I called before putting that number in, just to call redevelopment, and that, again, within the last 2 hours, I confirmed that number. That's what they're providing to
I'm
me.
saying that's counted, we had 2, but I was on UEZ volume.
Okay,
And if you go over and cross, it's still one person, but it'll show twice.
okay,
Not a big deal, but
Right.
I just want, you know, that might be off a little bit.
okay,
And I don't know, just, you have to keep in mind, in the fire department, I guess everybody needs to keep in mind too, River Ridge doesn't pay us any money.
right,
I know you see these big Amazon buildings, and, not you, but I'm
Right.
saying the public sees all this big massive stuff, it's all tip. The only money we get out of their employees would be the Lowit monies.
okay.
But as far as any tax dollars or anything coming out of there, I mean, it is the way it is. So, I mean, the jobs are great, and the buildings are great, and all that is great. And we have to provide the services, car wrecks, car rescues and stuff like that.
Right.
Because they're on the highway. But they don't pay property taxes. It all goes into a tip, so.
And that's your daytime population that you're looking at that's coming into the city, that as those areas and that grows up there, you're getting the circumference of that, it bounces, they're making numbers.
Yeah, they're making numbers, hopefully, well, a lot of it won't be running down Highway 62. I think the traffic count will show that 62's numbers are going to appreciate quite a bit, because they're all going to go through all that, or not do all that, they're going to.
265.
65, and they're going to toward do all that in Louisville. So, but I'm just saying that it's kind of a misconception when River Ridge, every time there's an announcement, but we're not getting any money. So, just a point. I know we got to provide services.
Right.
Any tax dollars except for the Lord.
Is there, I don't know, again, and I've not had the opportunity to sit down with Mr. Acey there, is there any plan with the city to potentially, with what's going in those TIF dollars, are they wanting to possibly partner, or? Okay.
A lot of their tips, from what I'm not talking, but from what I have read, a lot of their tips are going into, if you read a lot of what they're doing is new roads.
Right, infrastructure.
Yeah, they're relocating railroad tracks, and a lot of railroad stuff.
All infrastructure.
Yeah, they're doing, I don't know what percentage of their tip dollars, but most of their money.
Putting everything back in the infrastructure of the,
And all it is, when the TIF expires, then we'll have a chance to get a piece of that.
okay.
If it doesn't expire, I didn't think. I thought it was.
They put a sunset on it. I think the state statutes have changed.
And Kenny, there has been some conversations with River
I don't
Ridge.
think that's
They're
I don't think it-
willing, or
They're,
they indicate they're open.
they have a totally different
to help
set
them,
of code.
but they don't want to pay for, I don't know, that, you know, 3 officers.
Right.
They want to pay for equipment, capital costs, one-time costs. So they're not committing to that for years to come. So I think those conversations need to be had.
Okay, that's something that maybe we could sit down and explore together and go and...
They're receptive, but they're afraid to open that door too much, you know.
Understand. So...
Okay, Kenny,
Mhm.
we're on page 3, you got that book in front of you?
Yep, I do.
You can kind of go, you see where we have the 2016 requested budget, and then in that next column, we have the difference between the 2015 amended and the 2016, that last column all the way to the right.
Yes.
If you just kind of like skim down, I know you've asked for a lot of increases. If you
Yeah,
just
the
kinda
first-
sit down and the ones that you significantly asked for more, just kind of
Highlight that, okay.
case.
All right, I've got it. Obviously, we know the first one there. Increases there with the officers. So the requested amount appears to be approximately $503,000. Obviously, that's the cost there with 7 officers. So, again, going into the email, that's the what we mentioned. I know that you are looking at potential number 5, but I think we're there in that range of what we're trying to get applied to the department.
Okay. And it looks down, when we drop down to your shift and differential, you're asking for 8,600 more. Is that adding more to the shift? Is that what that?
That's actually the 8,600 more was actually factored in with the 3.1%
The raise and then
raise.
adding additional officers on second, third.
That needs to be pulled.
Well, the shift differential was in
If it's for the new
If it's
police
in,
the probably part of it is for the new police.
The
officer.
bulk, I don't have it broken down, that bulk is there for that 3.1% raise.
And just
That-
to,
okay.
excuse me, sorry, Chief, just to let you know, on your all's total that you have for officers, you have 5,209. We recalculated those numbers, it's 49 even.
I don't see 5209.
Yeah, I don't see where you're at.
Okay, what did you have? You have 49?
49.
He's got a copy of what we've got up here.
Our sheet is 4924.
We have the 24.
Okay. The next thing I have marked here, and if I'm missing anything, please advise me. I have the holding allowance. I'm sorry, I have the police pension fund, and that is a difference of approximately $27,000.
Just a percentage that you have to go out.
That would be the additional for the
And
office.
all the salaries.
Right.
You went up quite a bit in your request for overtime. What
Yes.
were you anticipating for the special events, bike patrol?
Yeah, what we did was we factored in going by with the downtown, and we factored in kind of with that request, 67,000 is what we actually came with.
Last year, we actually asked for 480 and was approved, but we had to take 60,000 out and transfer it early in the year for our electric bill because we didn't know it was going to be that high. And then you also had after circuit breakers, you given us that back, which we're in the process of doing. So we kept the number the same. It
Okay.
actually didn't go up or down.
Oh,
We just had
okay.
to transfer it out for the electric
All right.
bill.
So that's no change.
Damn, how much is the electric bill?
Yeah, it was a little high.
Jeez.
I don't have anything else marked. Is there any other questions on page 3 before we move?
It's pretty much like the BiPAC pay. A lot of this stuff has to do with
Yes, and
contract, so.
And the buyback, I can go ahead and, on that, we have an officer that is scheduled to retire in February. So we did the calculations on that. That gives us room for that officer that's already been factored in for his buyback and payout.
The performance pool increase, $5,500, is that based on just the percentage of the civil?
Yes, for the civilian side.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Kenny, you got a line item here, $17,000 for other supplies. And it's new. It hasn't been, it wasn't in 14 or 15.
That's on the office supplies there.
Nope.
It says other supplies,
Third from the bottom.
011, 429-011.
We never had it, other supplies, and I was getting dinged for getting other supplies out of office supplies. So what kind of supplies are you talking about? That's what we want to know. Like gloves for detectives, gun boxes, evidence boxes, things that aren't stationary, or pens or pencils.
Things in relation to the,
Supplies, dish soap,
Okay.
stuff like that. They were like, this isn't office supplies. I'm like, I don't have any other line.
Cost associated with the functions of the
Safety.
You mean gloves for detectives like the class? Yeah.
Can you see where it says
Yes.
public relations? Can you?
yep, I see it. I've got it. Just I need to find my,
Garbage bags, stuff that. Okay, stuff.
yeah, and it's basically, we've got marked here, I've got my notes, things that are not of normal office supplies.
What is the 6,000 increase for public relations?
That would be community policing supplies, coloring books, anything that we would take to set up at school, daycare, public event, type things, stickers, stuff that would, just public relations, things that you could pass out.
What about-
It's not all just for kids either, it's,
What about-
lanyards, stuff that the department imprint on it to pass out.
What about the police academy, since that's new this year? Is that considered money coming?
It's down.
Yeah, we had
That has its own separate line.
No, I didn't see that one. I had my ruler covering it.
Ammunition, you all, is that for practice rounds or something more, or just for stock?
You'll have the normal training sessions during the year for the officers, and then you'll also have, new hires have to take 1,000 rounds.
Oh, it's for the new, okay.
That's always what I will.
So we figured that expense for the officers in there, for that ammunition cost per officer.
What's the difference, Kenny, in medical supplies and safety supplies? Safety's the second from the bottom, medical's probably seventh from the bottom.
Yeah,
No, that's building.
let me go to my notes.
Medical's 5,000, safety's 9,000.
If I'm correct here, let me look. Our safety supplies, when we increased that, the sharps containers, with what's going on with the situation of the needles, we've actually went from having so many on the street, we've supplied every officer and working with the mirror. A lot of that cost that you see influx there, we have the containers. We've actually been able to, Amir's trying to get some back, but we're actually keeping them going through. The other half is that too, we have enough in there. I'm hearing the city is supposed to sign one contract where we're going to have one receptacle drop off, but if not, as a police department, we're getting these syringes. The hospital's no longer wanting to take them. We're going to have to do something, and I'm prepared to want to move through. If we don't have this completed by the first of the year, whoever's here, we're going to have to sign a contract because this can't go on any longer. I keep being told this is going to happen, or they're going to have some type of receptacle drop off, but we're going to have to do this.
Also, on the medical supplies, that would go to first aid kits on station, as well as first aid kits.
Okay.
Yes, and also we wanted to, with the citizens coming in, we only have one. We wanted to purchase an automatic defibrillator and put one at the front of the building with it being used. Right now, we do not have any of the safety kits. We have some supplies there, so we're just waiting to the first of the year before trying to make that purchase to get those safety kits there. So that would be on the also in there as well.
We flip to page 4 now?
Asked for another 24,000 in contractual services at the top of page 4.
Yes, we had the increase. That is where we're going to, right now we're preparing with the cleaning company we have. We're having some issues and we're actually pretty close to probably having to make another decision or direction. So I believe the contract obviously was taken with the lowest bid, and that may not be the appropriate thing. So there's room there, looking at some of the previous bids, and I think with the room to be able to not have to come back and make the request, that's where the direction is with the $24,000 that's been allotted in there, looking at it comparable with those other bids. The company we have now is significantly low that was taken, and I think they definitely underbid the police department.
Do you have a lot of other contractual services, or is that mainly cleaning?
We will after November or December, after the warranty, the building's up. Our fire sprinkler systems, we got crushed last year on snow. The winter was bad. And then we also had.
What do you mean you got crushed on snow?
I mean, just the amount of snow.
The snow and the ice.
Removal.
Oh, removal.
Cannot
Okay.
the street department, why can't the street department do that?
That's a very good
It's
question.
a city,
Well,
it's a
as
city
long as
department.
the concern was making the police department priority
Well, they need to make your priority.
instead of.
Well, up until last year, we were even providing all the salt and stuff for schools, and we even plowed, we're plowing in other places that weren't even our property. I think the
Yeah,
police should be a priority.
Our street department should take care of our city, the police and fire, and then move on to other things. That's not something that I think we should have to be paying for outside the services that we're already paying to do.
That'd be a conversation.
Board of Public Works.
Can you bring that conversation, up, maybe Board of Public Works, department head or something, and give him some direction?
Don't we,
That, and I hear what you're saying, but
call too?
no, you're good. I hear what you're saying, understand, but getting someone, when this is all happening and coming down to clear the police department to get the cars in the lot,
They're supposed to be out before the events
Police
start happening
department,
because
fire,
they
they're
know
ours,
it
you know.
has, at least
Big
that's the way
difference
it
here
used to
now.
happen.
Since the police has moved
So,
out, they were the ones
they're
that were
supposed to be
calling
out
all the
salting and
time.
doing that stuff
They'd
before
call
it ever
5
starts
times in
coming
one
in.
day to get back in here.
You wait till it's coming down, it's too late.
Somebody need to talk to the street department.
Well, I asked Matt to have this conversation either in Board of Public Works or department head meeting and give them some direction. That's
Okay.
something that needs to, before we get into that weather.
yep, tractors will go up to IPS.
Oh, wrong button.
Computer software.
They've never budgeted for that.
Yeah, I think their budget, my understanding, is only $5,000 or $7,000 is what they were saying they were budgeted under.
That's
And
because they didn't come and ask. We just had the police merit board and no one from the police merit board showed up. Fire showed up.
I think what happens is
What was the question?
we get approved to hire people, or if we have losses and know that we have to hire people, you have to get that testing
Thank you.
done, whether or not, and if it's not in their budget, they're like, we don't have it, we have to find it, and it's like, okay, and sometimes we've split it, well, they'll do the psych and we'll take the physical, but this year I was like, okay, if we're gonna have hires, whether it's gonna be somebody retiring or quitting, it's $2,000,
I thought our physicals have moved to our clinic over here because fire's been going on. No?
no, that's your perf to go to Indianapolis to get in the retirement system. That must take place at the government center.
$2,500 per applicant.
Gotcha. That's good to know. I didn't know
If
that.
you want to go for the merit board, I'm sure they'll take it.
Yeah, you just need to transfer it out.
I'm sure it'll be more consistent though, I think.
It would be more consistent.
I think it should, I mean, I don't know, but I think that should definitely be, it really sounds like you're billing for medical, you don't do medical, so it should be really under complete merit.
They did increase their testing.
Vicky's
Would it
not
be part of
here,
their
so
testing
I-
or not?
Did
No.
we just make a note anyway?
Yeah.
Because they increased their testing by $8,000.
That's not it, no.
See, where's that line?
I think she said they increased that because
So
of
where it is, for
anticipation
that
of
medical
more
testing
hires
and all
coming.
that. What's it
Medical
under?
billing.
Under medical billing? Okay.
Very low.
That's the 19,000. Patty, make a note that we need to talk to Vicki about that medical billing.
Okay.
That's So,
Almost down at the bottom, we've got equipment and SWAT equipment.
Yes, for River,
Not knowing what those are, before you get into it, I would just go ahead and advise that we've taken all the capital purchases from everyone else to hold under the council until after the circuit breakers.
Okay.
And I would anticipate that we'd do the same here.
yeah, I already told him in the beginning.
Oh, yeah. you did.
Okay.
Sorry.
And
well, thank you.
Unless it's something that's critical, something that's, I don't know what they're asking for
yeah,
SWAT or
what would that
whatever,
be?
but
That is, the first one, the 6,500, I'll just go ahead and let you know, that was for River Patrol and Bike Patrol, combined together, and I actually have more with the River Patrol going over that amount. And then the second was with the SWAT equipment, and the budget was in 2007, we finally had a budget that was created when I was SWAT commander, and I'm trying to get a grasp and get them budgeted with what they're spending. We started at about 26,000. We should be able to sustain. I did some numbers and went back to the ammunition and came up with a number of 18.5. Also to let you know that we've added operators to the team, bringing the team actually back up. We're at 16 now, and we're going to increase to 3 more operators and be at a total of 19. And this will still be able to sustain us adding those members, having a full operational team.
When you say SWAT equipment, what does that entail?
That will be actually for them alone for training rounds. Right now I have a quote, their gas mask, it's approximately $10,500. Their gas masks need to be need to be taken out of service, and right, so I've got just one purchase alone for them. I already have a quote for $10,000.
Are those items that we could possibly remove from the general budget and bring out of Lloyd?
Yes, you can.
That's what I would suggest. That's where I would.
Would you want you want me to come in or just?
do you and Amy hear that discussion?
To
This
remove the SWAT
Could we-
equipment.
SWAT
take it out of
equipment, can we
Lloyd.
take that to Lloyd?
Would I be able to do the same with that River Patrol and Bike Patrol as well, the 6,500?
I say yes.
Well, we probably, I'm gonna tell you real quick about Lloyd. We had a conversation with Amy, and I was looking through these numbers, and I'm gonna talk to her about this when it's over. She was talking about, early on about the amount of money we're using out of Lloyd, so, we probably need to talk about that.
What page is Lloyd? We can move on to Lloyd right now while we,
Well,
Well,
no,
wait,
this is different from them.
What about, what's a vehicle?
It's a negative 50.
that's a
Yeah,
negative.
that's where, at the time, well, that's where Lieutenant Grimm came with the vehicles that were wrecked. He asked for the $50,000, and then that's what I'm being told
All right,
that
gotcha.
took place.
There's nothing there, I was.
Yeah, but I will note that with what we've had occur here within the last 30 days with a couple of vehicles, I will be coming back to ask for those amounts to try to replace and recover with some vehicles.
Chief, what is I mean, I know that these automobile accidents are reviewed, but what is there a process in place that if you do have an individual that is not a good driver, like a better term, that at least that before they're given another vehicle to go out on the street, that there's something that they would take or train
Right.
before you put them on the street again?
Yes, sir, remedial training, and what we're doing with the accidents right now, and I have actually an EVOC instructor here. We've met, AC McVoy and Major Hubbard have met. I wasn't part of that meeting, but we have emergency operations driving, which is the training we must have in a year. Right now, fortunate enough, our accidents aren't happening while we're making emergency calls and driving. They're happening through the normal course and routine of everyday driving. So we're going to take our training that's actually coming up, and we're going to de-escalate off of our emergency driving, and we're going to do general everyday driving maneuvers to work on our general driving habits as we're out on patrol as regular people. So
I'm going to take out for them because the last 2 accidents that happened were not their fault and they're being reimbursed by the other people's insurance. So I'm just
That'll
saying.
fall in the fund, though.
Right.
Yes.
And that's why he said they're going to come back. and
right.
come back.
Fortunate enough, the vehicles that were totaled, they're coming on the actual other claimant's insurance that's coming back, but we're going to take our driver's training and we're going to de-escalate that down, and we're going to do everyday practical driving exercises to work on. Not at all whatsoever.
Like slow down on 10th Street?
We will work on our
Thank you.
driving. and we're going to do that. On a serious note, we're looking at, and we're starting to classify the crashes to let you know as preventable, non-preventable, obviously, and then from there, we'll look at on the preventable accidents. We're doing some documentation. We're not just allowing the accidents to happen and occur, and then we're also instituting remedial training. So every accident that actually comes, and working with the EVOC instructors too as well, we're looking at if it is a preventable crash and non-preventable crash. So as police officer statistics show, you drive about 25,000 miles a year, but we need to be actually adherent and be more cognitive of what we're doing with our driving behavior. He is. Yes, Amir is actually involved, and he's working with Travelers Insurance, and we've already, prior to, I think Travelers wants to have a meeting, we've already instituted and set these measures up, working at this, obviously, with the crashes that occur. If we're out here, we're doing police work, crashes are going to happen, car pursuits and chases, that's going to happen. It's understandable. But the everyday, not emergency operations and driving and bumping into or coming out of the jail and things of that nature, it's just not acceptable, and we're going to work on improving that, definitely.
Chief, I'm kind of going back up under computer software maintenance fees. You have 22,000 new, that's the second from the top. 22,000 new there, but then at the exact same heading, we've got 90,000 under Lloyd. So 112,000 in computer software maintenance fees.
Is that New World?
Yep, and under the 22,000, I'm being told that the tips is Cellbrite, the older systems that are having to be maintained, and I'm not sure as far as us.
Actually, some of that was moved from the technology line, the line right underneath it, just to put in the most appropriate line of our tips, our Celebrite software systems that we pay an annual maintenance fee for, just to make sure that these are for annual fees and not just other technology supplies or whatever.
Thank you.
So the other, with the answer your question, 90,000, we already had one invoice that came in for the New World we've paid. We're running about, I guess, 6 months behind with working with them in Central Arm with the updates that are coming in, so we don't know when that next one is potentially going to be coming in, but it's going to be due with working with New World.
Ready to move on. I think on 25 or 29, I kind of, their police pension is self-expended. They got that police non-reverting. They're going down. They're not going up. On page 31, they have their local law enforcement continuing ed. I didn't see anything there, so I think we can move on to page 32 in Deloitte. There was no other funds that I missed, was there, Amy? Other than we had the continuing ed, the non-revert, they just have the one non-reverting, right? Oh, they have the, what's that one where they,
Seizures.
yeah. What page is that one on? Okay, all right.
That's going to be off of our narcotic seizures, things that come in with our officer that's assigned to the federal task force.
Okay, so let's look under, let's start with police here, let's see.
While you're looking, Lisa, I was a comment to pick up on what Mike said earlier. I didn't realize that for this year, and maybe it's 15 and 16, but we're budgeting to spend more in Lloyd than we are taking in.
Well, we had a brief conversation, and when all this is done, I'm going to spend a few minutes with him and ask about that, because if you follow us, because we were talking about paying more on our fire truck campaign.
Right.
And she said something about we're spending more than we're bringing in on the loan money. So I want to just take a few minutes to discuss that with her. These numbers don't show that, and I want to see.
Well, we're on Lloyd now, so let's discuss it.
And just so we know that, Lloyd has been, it's been fantastic for the city as far as for our safety. And we've been able to do major stuff with it. It's hard to imagine that we're already to the point where we're spending more out of it than we're bringing in, because it's such a huge amount. But we have to really watch that as we keep looking to the future because we expect it to grow, but we want to not overcommit ourselves on long-term bonding or something, or vehicle loans or whatever. It's more with fire trucks and things, not necessarily police.
Say that
the
again.
long-term
Fire trucks?
things.
Fire trucks.
But,
They're good on fire trucks for a while.
He said it, I just wanted,
But I mean, the low end, I'm not
That's,
talking,
I'm
I mean,
looking
that really
at the
nothing to do
lower,
with them,
no.
what I want to
Yeah.
talk to her about.
Okay.
We'll do that.
Well, let's talk about let's just look over the police here. Kenny, is there anything that you need to talk about under your Lowit budget?
I have a comment about that.
Okay,
Ann found an error.
okay.
No, I don't know how it happened, but on uniforms, where it says that the amended budget is 68.5, I think maybe what happened was I was trying to get a uniform line in there, and I copied the line from fire up to police, which I couldn't have done. So I did not, so that should be zero.
Where
There's
you at
been,
now?
under uniforms, that's a whole new line for police.
035?
what page is that?
Yes.
Okay.
And then they're requesting the 21,000, but everything else should be zero on that
The
one.
normal uniforms that's under contract,
Yes.
That's, yeah, new.
have we taken it out of here before, out of the No.
No.
This is a brand new line that should
That's
have,
general fund, so the whole thing needs to be removed.
it should all be,
Well,
history should be zero.
The history should be zero, but they are requesting this.
They're requesting 21,000.
And just to give you an idea, that was the one that when the 3 officers were put in the budget, we've been moving funds around. The money for the officers' uniforms aren't there. So we've been moving money around.
And so you know what I'm gonna say? I'm gonna say the ones that we just moved over here from SWAT, let's just flip them, because uniforms should not be coming out of here. So we're gonna put the SWAT in, and the equipment for the people down at.
We have a uniforms line in the general fund, we could add that to it.
What's the difference?
My suggestion.
Yeah. So
The reason why.
add that 21,000 to the uniform line.
Separated because for new officers, that was brand new, because.
It's about $2,500 each
General
one.
fund is for replacement if somebody tears theirs, or for patches, or for just existing stuff, so that's why I thought, all right, we'll separate, because this is just a one-time, because we're hiring. That was
Well,
it.
just make it up in your regular budget, separate line, and you'll just have to keep track of it.
Okay.
So we want to remove the 21,000 from Lloyd?
And move it into their uniform line they already have in their general fund.
General.
And add the SWAT equipment as a separate line, or add it to the equipment line?
It needs to be, it's SWAT equipment, so just so we know, and then the
say-
equipment that they have for, yeah,
Lord.
whatever. The other equipment, what did you say the other equipment was for?
Bike patrol.
Bike patrol, river patrol.
That goes into the.
That goes into, yes.
the river patrol, is that payroll? Or
No,
equipment?
that's for equipment.
Okay, because we don't want payroll in Lloyd. I just,
No.
Oh, I'm writing on the wrong thing.
That's equipment there, that's 6,500, that and bike
Okay.
together.
gotcha.
Okay, let's hit on the vehicles that you have here.
With the vehicles, we had a increase of $139,000. We went from last year with the total, I think it was 10. This year we factored out it was a total with 14 vehicles, and that is fully equipped with everything. We put that number, to give you an idea, the number was 42.5 with everything fully equipped. I put it all together. And it's showing 11 line vehicles and then 3 supervisor vehicles as well.
And how often will the supervisor vehicles have to be replaced? Because
They-
we talked about this in budget.
Well, we're getting those back in the rotation. The last couple of years have not been rotating the supervisors' vehicles. I can't answer
When
that.
you say supervisors, who are you talking?
The shift commanders.
Shift commanders, other ranking officers, a lot of the vehicles, they weren't unknown reasons, they just weren't handing out with supervisors. So we have a fleet of, we've got some captains still with 2009, I think one 2000, we're trying to get those vehicles out with the high miles, and that's what we're working on now as well.
So we didn't have the shift commander vehicles, and we didn't have the detectives in the rotation.
No. And that's,
Never were.
and that's what we're,
That's why we did the Impalas this not too long ago.
yeah, you're seeing on there, you're seeing 3 additional supervisors' vehicles being on there. And again, we packaged that out at 42.5. That is everything total.
So the questions I have, does anybody else have anything in below it for them?
My question is kind of outside the budget, but more like an operational equipment. The control part you set up for the last time, we wrote something.
Yes.
Have you looked at making any changes to that? Is that adequate? I thought maybe tablets that you could copy them out.
They're a tough book.
Or some other kind of technology.
Yeah.
One time since we
We're going to stay with, and recommended by our IT director. The fire department has the tablets. There's a lot of issues that are going with those. We're going to stay with the tough books, and that's what they are, the tough books. We're working right now, trying to, with a representative of Mobile Tech, to do it in phases and try to phase some of those out. Right now, the laptops are they're 7 years old, so we're putting a lot of money in repairs, and look at what we're putting in for repairs with those. We need to start, we're a little bit behind, so it's just going to be a gradual process, and the goal is to try to do some this fall. And with integrating new officers coming in and hiring, we can do this all in the same process.
And how are we doing with body cams?
Body cams, we just, within the last 2 weeks, extended another 90 days. It'll fall into the second week of November. We also did apply for a Department of Justice grant with the body cameras, so we only have 60. We have 77 officers. So we're working and hoping that we can obtain this grant, and with the grant, we can actually expand to the entire department and potentially, for the record, upgrade the cameras what we have. There's already new technology of what we're dealing with and what we have, and we're trying to make sure that for our storage that we save money while storing the video and then purge the system and not keep things that are unnecessary. A lot of associated costs, what we research is going around the country, is storing so much video. So within our policy, we're about 45 days. If it's not going to be necessary, if an officer doesn't flag it, it's not pertaining to a case or something they want to use for training to keep, then it's done, it's out of here. We're not going to keep it. And it's just taking up the more storage space you have that you're getting to the cost and the expense.
Do you have the vehicle cameras?
We do not. We did have them. This administration, prior in taking office in 2009, they pulled all the cameras out of the cars. So we have some, and we're also right now in the process of looking at that equipment and trying to integrate some of those camera systems back in, working with a dealer.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Is that beneficial to you? I was thinking this. I don't know.
At this point in time, I'm telling everyone being police officers that there's no way, being a rookie police officer, I would not want video to tell my side of the story, because you're going to be videotaped and filmed either way. So I just want to tell it from my perspective why what I did. For me, I'm not going to change anything of the way, the manner I'm policing. Having a camera, I'm going to do it regardless. I did 21 years, but I'm going to show it on video.
So with our new vehicles, we are adding those back in?
We will be working with the existing equipment we have. It's getting looked at. Captain Kevin Moreland is helping us out doing some things administratively, and he was the previous administration that purchased those. He's dealing with a distributor right now, and he's trying to get those cameras and equipment back in operation, what we have.
Why were they taken out? I'm just curious.
I didn't
even know they had been removed.
That was an administrative decision that was made at the beginning of this administration.
On contractor services, Chief Kavanaugh, you say that police station's going to run out of warranty.
Yes.
What kind of problems have been occurring?
Well, it's not. We're dealing with a few small issues with the fire.
Small, brief. I mean,
It doesn't look like it's small.
It's we got an issue that's going on with the fire alarm system. It's been identified through drainage out front, so it's all in sequence, and basically where redevelopment had, that's where you're seeing some dollars being put in places that we're going to have to take these contracts over. We're working to get these problems corrected, and AC Oliver, he's on top of it, and we found that just with some of the construction out front, and the way water is actually draining off, it got into an electrical panel, just as a residual effect, is causing the problems with the fire alarm system that we're having. So with the weather being dry now, it's all in the process of getting corrected.
Was that warranty run out this year?
It's actually run out, and we started the new, going in with the maintenance and the contract of everything. It actually started for us, I guess, sometime about April is what I'm actually being told. So because where the contract was initiated when the building, it's already the time.
The system was completed, if it was completed in April during construction, it starts. It's not at the end of when we got the keys in December. We didn't know that.
And also the utilities, we're making some headway. We've actually reduced that down from 5,000 a month. We've gotten it down to like 3,000, and we're looking at other ways, working with the electricians where we're having some more things come off in the building, and my goal is to hopefully get that down to manageable with a couple $1,000s a month.
So, in review, it looks like we're moving the 5,500 performance increase pool for the civilian employees to council.
Correct.
We're moving the bike patrol, river patrol dollars, the SWAT equipment dollars to Lloyd.
Correct.
And we're moving the 21,000 from Lloyd back for uniforms back to the general fund.
That's correct.
And the new employees.
We're going to have that discussion come Thursday because we do not have a revenue neutral budget, so we needed a.
Which reminds me, I wanted to ask you again. Remind me what you told me about the grant.
Yes, we'll be notified in probably the approximately the third week of September with the grant and the numbers to let you know. The grant is it's full sustaining. It's 75% each officer. We have the potential and possibility to be awarded from 1 to 4 officers. So with whatever number that is decided, identified that you want to hire, understand that if we are awarded the grant up to 4 officers, whatever that award number is given, it's going to pay 75% of that cost. For 3 years. It's a 36-month grant. So it allows municipalities that receive the awards to be able to sustain. In previous years, it was a gradual where they were backing down. Now it's just a straight award for that time period to allow municipalities and government agencies to get those funds in place to pay for those officers. A lot of places, the research, it was showing that they were not able to sustain them in that fashion. So these are full, consistent number awards of 75% for 36 months.
And we should be hearing any time now, according to
We
the
should.
plan.
So if we do have,
Said you would be the first to hear, so just keep an eye on that email.
I will.
No, because sometimes it's late him getting back to the.
Yes, Mother.
Don't let me ground you.
Good getting his emails and reading them with the reply.
I reply.
I said, when was this sent? He goes, an hour ago. I'm like, well, we didn't get it to read it because I'm glad you gave us a copy of that. Okay, anything else for the chief? Thank you, sir.
Thanks. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you working with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. By golly, it's 8 o'clock.
Right on time?
Right on time.
Wow,
Do I have-
you're lucky.
Oh, you got questions? Okay.
Oh. Spoke too soon.
A little bit about maybe 50% down on financing, the difference, you said that the lowest we're spending more than we're bringing in, something like that. Can we walk through the 430, the lower, because I'm not following that.
I'll,
I got copies.
For roughly 2.2 million was the original budget, 15 amended budget, 2.4.
okay.
Cash balance at was 2.1 million.
It's on our
We
Thursday
adopted
night.
the budget, the total is going down to 1.1 at the end of next year. So we're spending more than we're bringing in, our cash balance keeps decreasing, so that's why we opted to finance side versus cash down when we pull it down.
Did the council hear?
I didn't hear
No.
nothing she said. I was talking, okay, actually, can you come up? I'm having a very hard time hearing you tonight for some
The
reason.
the question was, let me just say how it started. When
Okay.
we was leaving, Ed asked about financing the trust, and some emails or whatever was passed, we was talking about paying half of it out of Lloyd and financing half of it. Well, Amy said that we're actually spending more than our revenue.
Okay.
And so that's what started the conversation. So my point was, I want to make sure that when we start buying, regardless of what we're buying out of the Lloyd money, we're almost into the same boat we are with the budget. We're not neutral here. And we've got to be very, I mean, it's easy to say, take this out of your budget and put in here. But according to here, we need to be careful because if it can't be sustained in the general fund, which is the tax revenue out of the property taxes, we just can't keep taking everything out of Lloyd because we're upside down, possibly.
Okay, Amy?
I was just saying, the finance committee made the decision based on our recommendation to finance that truck over 4 years versus putting half down. We're putting $400,000 down, which is already in the budget this year. And we're going to save $60,000 by paying the full amount up front with our loan, and by paying it all up front, or actually by financing over 4 years, we got a 1.99 rate, which is really good. We bid out all the local banks, so. New Washington State Bank. What'd you say? Yeah, we had 7 banks that we bid it to, so.
So we're financing both trucks.
Yes. Well, one was like around 400,000, so we'll probably just pay that one.
Pay for that one and then finance
Basically.
the other.
Yeah.
And how much is the other one?
1.2. It was 1.6 total.
Power takes a lot of that wood.
Well, I mean, and explain why we are getting, while we're starting, our revenue is, if you can, because our 911 is roughly $1 million.
Right. So the
A
nine,
little less, but
well, since the dispatch moved out, we were funding, 500,000 roughly out of the general fund. That all moved to Lowit. So that doubled the 911 liability on the Lowit fund. So that's a huge chunk. That's almost a quarter of the annual revenue right there. So if you look at the last 3 columns, it's 2.3 million that we're estimating to get in next year, and the current proposal is 2.8 million. So that's just going to cut into the cash by, $500,000 or so there.
so right now, we're bringing in roughly 2.3 million.
That's right.
And I think if we're spending 500, I forget the number now, if we're spending $1 million towards 911, if we're spending 600,000 for police cars, now we're 1.6, and then you figure a fire truck payment, we're 2 million, we're almost.
You're pushing.
It adds up quick. That's what I've been trying to tell both chiefs and.
But that's what I'm saying, is we have a tendency, to vouch for this, when they come in, we keep just pumping this money out of Lowit money. Well, we're not, there's not a whole lot left.
And I think we need, the city has a rainy day fund, but I think we need to some way have a policy or an agreement or something. We try to maintain a balance in our Lloyd, because any point in time, police or fire can walk through that door, and like when we had the fire truck that was wrecked and we had to do something, or if there's something, an emergency that has to happen, I think we need to be prepared for that and not just every year spin it down to nothing.
Well, that's what I wanted for you all to hear, and I wanted Amy, because she had said that, and I didn't know we were spending that much. But when you really look at the numbers of what we're spending, now keep in mind, the Lowit money comes from revenue from employees. So as River Ridge hires, that's the only tax we really get.
Right.
Is the Lowit. We don't get any property taxes to buy anything with.
Right.
Okay, so I just want you to be aware that this $2.3 million, we've almost spent $2 million out of it.
Something else that cut into the cash was paying off those fire truck leases early at the end of last year as well. I forget how much that was, but it was.
Amy, I have another question.
Uh-huh.
On page 1, where it talks about revenues,
Yes.
and number 1 general fund is the largest item, property taxes,
Yes.
and you show 2015 projected actual, and that'd be 16,148,000.
Yes.
Okay. And then it's estimated 2016, 19,650.
That has the circuit breaker built in. It's netted out of 15's number, that's why you see that jump.
Okay.
Yeah.
So really what we expect to get is 15.
It's conservative to keep it pretty flat, yes.
So we're not working on the 16.
No, no. That's a good question. Uh-huh.
Is that all everybody had?
I knew it was going up. and I grabbed one.
No, I wish.
Not quite.
We got one more question from Nathan.
Don't you want to speak?
How was it left? Are we asking finance to go back tomorrow to the administration and say, we got to have a revenue neutral budget? Or are we going to go through the rest of these budgets and then at the end say we got to have a revenue neutral budget, which I think is a waste of time? But what do we want to, I got to know my next step.
That's what you're going to talk about.
That's what I want to know.
Good question.
Our next meeting's tomorrow.
I know tomorrow night.
But then
What do we have scheduled for tomorrow night? I thought, it's tomorrow?
Council's next Wednesday.
Yeah, next Thursday. We got a whole nother week for that discussion. Safety, HR, IT, and street and sanitation.
I say they need to go back and start working on that, but in the meantime, we'll start hearing, just like we did with police, so we know what they're asking for and why, justify just to get our heads around what's gonna, whether it's done now, we need to hear from them, because we have not heard from any of the department heads yet on, before all of this, until, these are the only times we've written to talk to them.
But in fairness, Chief here and any of the future department heads, we said earlier that if everybody had operated under their current budget right now, in 15's budget, no increases at all, we're still deficit spending. And so, so it was mentioned earlier that maybe we have to go back to 2014. Now it's kind of more in jest than serious, but there was some seriousness to that as far as we can't deficit spend. And so I just think it's not fair to the department heads for them to leave thinking, oh, that went great, and then come back and find out a week later, a month later, or whatever, that none of that's going to happen. So
Well, that's why I told them we do not have a revenue neutral budget. I don't know if he understood that when I said that to him. But definitely Amy and Heather need to go have a conversation with the mayor, or
I just say that
to
because
get back on them to start.
we told him that at the beginning, and I think he got it. But then all the way through, we're saying, oh, let's move that to Lloyd. Let's move this. And I know Ann left here thinking, oh, great, we're going to do this, this, and that. And then we just talked about Lloyd. We don't want to deficit spend in that either. So
We're almost.
I know. So I think we got to go back, finance and/or the administration has to some way relook at this and provide something or.
And although I'm not as concerned, because a lot of that stuff is capital spending.
Right.
One time done.
They're one-time things, or you could say, okay, the next 2-3 years.
The 100
And
series.
that's why we've kind of separated the payroll and operating costs and put capital improvements below it. So like, if we don't need to buy a car today, I mean, yeah, it's old, but it's still operational, we could push that off if we needed. And with low, we have that flexibility. So when you have a surplus, actually a legit surplus in low, I'm not as worried about overspending in any given year, because a lot of times you want one-time purchase or a short-term lease.
I don't disagree, except I guarantee the police every year, they're expecting to get new cars. I don't know how many it is, 10, 11, this year's 14.
600,000.
And because we've been able to do that for years, if next year we say, oh, we can't get a new car, that's going to hit the police hard. And that's and we're putting our fire trucks payments in there. So we're kind of locking ourselves in, kind of. I mean, we have to make those payments, but we could put off cars, but that's awful hard to do.
Well, then you just lease them more. Right, spread the payments out.
Well, our truck payment is $350,000, roughly 600 for police cars, that's 950, say $1 million. Our 911 is $1 million, there's $2 million.
And that's our Lloyd budget.
I mean, so we've got $300,000.
One fire truck is like 20 police cars.
Hey, did we used to lease a lot of vehicles in years past, or
In
we always
years
paid
past,
for?
In years past, they didn't buy new vehicles.
Yeah,
They
we
broke down on
leased
the
some, but we didn't have as many. I mean,
No, I'm kidding.
it's a whole different ballgame. get a lot more equipment, a lot more.
And you gotta sustain it.
And, but we have a lot more money. We didn't have access to loan before. So we're definitely spending.
Well, we've got 400,000, take our truck in, we've got $400,000 left. Right. I just wanted, Amy, I want you to hear that, because what the first thing we do is go to it.
So you asking them to go?
Just to let you know too, the average is running the police car about 5 years. We're running our cars 7 years. 7 years or more. So we're with our, and I think our vehicle maintenance department, how our officers are able to take care of the vehicle and maintain them. We're running them for about 7 years, more than what the average is.
I think when Nathan was trying to get those, they need to go back there, we're going to do this all over again next month.
Oh, we gotta get it done before the end of the month.
Well,
It's like we're just sort
before,
of.
like Vicki had said, go through and hear what they have to say. That's why we told them from the very beginning that this is what,
Yeah, but they're starting off with their budget before, I mean, they hear right when they're getting ready to present what they got in front of them.
Yeah, and that's what
I mean,
That's
they
why
have-
we're just taking everything under advisement right now, because we've gotta do what's best for the city.
Having fun yet?
Try to do what's best for them and.
Oh, yeah.
well, you know,
You wanted the job.
I would.
Put that gavel down.
Adjourn.